Morning, perfect strangers on the live stream.
Better or worse? Let's find out how Tim played golf yesterday. If he's ready for the PGA Championship.
Hello, Tuesday, and the Perfect Strangers theme song bringing us in. Daybreak already hit at 6:05 as we get closer and closer to the brightest days, the longest lit days of the year. As you cruise around on the lake a little bit more, watching some hockey, and in a good mood this morning, I'm gathering.
Yeah. I think everybody agrees, a lot going on. It was just a bad, cold winter, which is weird because at least around here, Midlands, to my knowledge, Jen, Patrick, I think y'all would agree. Maybe certain parts of the Midlands got like a day where it snowed, but it never stuck. We never got one of those true snow days. But it was just a cold, dreary winter. Obviously, a lot going on. People limited what they could do. And now, again, I was watching the Hurricanes last night and the Predators, Nashville, little hockey, and they had a good crowd there at PNC Arena there for the playoffs. And yeah, just feels fun. Feels good, man. I'm with you. How'd your golf game go yesterday? You ready for the PGA Championship? Did you practice and get warmed up?
So ridiculous. First 3 shots, birdied my own ball.
Yeah.
After that, should have quit.
Hey, so that means it was captain's choice. That means you contributed to the team, right? And that's all that matters. You gave it a contribution, and after that, it was on the other guys to carry you for the next 17 holes. You had done exactly what you intended to do. You carried them for one hole. That's how I play a captain's choice. So good for you. So does that mean you're ready for Kiawah?
Oh, sure. No, I am looking forward to it this week, though. The PGA Championship, and seeing how those guys get after it, seeing how the weather affects them. I think a lot of people, just this year in our state in general, with extra golf, not just extra major championship golf, but then the RBC Canadian moving down here as well. It's really, it's probably not even close. The best year of golf probably in our state's history from a PGA Tour standpoint, and this week might be the highlight with the major championship over at Kiawah. Would you agree?
Yeah, I am really excited about the RBC Canadian, whatever we're calling it, because obviously, unless something has changed drastically, it's not going to be the Canadian Open, given that it's here in South Carolina. But I think just because it's a new course, the Congaree Golf Club, I believe, is exactly what it's called. I keep wanting to call it Congaree National, but just because I was unaware of that course. I think it's supposed to debut in Golf Digest or whatever, the top 100 at like 39, and I had no clue about it. Did you ever heard of Congaree Golf Club before this all went down?
I had not. No,
and it's supposed to be just this really immaculate elite course, and so I'm kind of just excited to see that just because it's brand new. But I'm with you, man. I went I think on a Friday in 2012 to Kiawah, and I'll be honest, yesterday throughout the day, really, I had the Golf Channel on. They were showing the practice rounds. They were talking about Rory McIlroy winning in 2012. They were showing everything going on, and I'm with you. I actually just totally forgot about it. Now, I don't know if this is true. Maybe this is where I crowdsource here and find out what exactly is going on, because I'm too lazy to do it on my own. But I was told yesterday, and I don't know why, Tim, I never even thought about it. I was told yesterday that practice badges, you can get them for like $10 this week. I don't know if tickets are available. I know people are going, but I don't know what the capacity is for patrons Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I don't know how much tickets are going for this weekend. If you can find any, if anybody knows, hit us up this morning. I'd just be interested to know how much they're going for, whether it's on the secondary market or if they're available, and kind of what the situation is, because I wouldn't mind shooting down there for an afternoon and catching everything and hanging out for a day, because that's a fun place. I take it in 2012. You might have gone down and covered it a little bit, maybe. Did you? Is that?
Yep, I've been down there before. I think they had an earlier like media event a couple of months before that and got to play it, and it absolutely dominated me. And realized that that is a different game for sure. I just randomly did a quick search here, and it looks like there are some official ticket exchanges out there, at least starting at like $150 per day, maybe on a Friday. So it looks like I'm seeing a Wednesday deal for $40 starting out there. Yeah, you can get down there still at this point and take it in person. And yeah, I would encourage you. If you like golf and you never checked out Kiowa and the Ocean Course, and you got a chance to do it this week, absolutely do it. Because, no, I mean, first of all, just being out on the golf course yesterday was fantastic weather-wise. And then you turn it into a major championship. You add those two things together, and you can do it this week after, what are we, a month after the Masters, somewhere in there?
Yeah.
A month since then. So
5 weeks, I think, is the official total, is what they said yesterday. I'll confirm that. Right. I was kind of, like I said, I had it on all day yesterday. I had the Golf Channel on. I'll probably once again have it on all day today. But there were obviously, a lot of conversation about Justin Rose yesterday in his opening round, as they were trying to compare playing at the Masters, the conditions on the opening day of the Masters versus the what they're going to play this week, and the winds and the shifting of the winds on Kiowa. So a lot of coverage comparing the Masters opening round and the difficulty of playing that Thursday versus what the golfers could see all 4 days at Kiowa.
Patrick, you okay this morning after your Caps didn't quite pull it out and are now 1-1 with the Bruins instead of up 2-0?
Not really.
Oh boy.
I left my house and we had just scored the third goal to go up 3-2, and then I'm driving to work and I just checked my phone before going in, and it says end of the third period, tied 3-3, and I tried to find the Taylor Hall goal on Twitter. I was really annoyed because it was just a garbage goal, and then I had to download the NBC app real quick, and as I was walking in, I was watching the overtime period, and it took like 1 minute and they just buried a goal. It was very depressing. You have to be able to when you have a 3-2 lead with 2 minutes left, you have to be able to get that win at home. And I'm not feeling great going back to Boston right now. No, not okay.
Sounds like we need to cheer Patrick up.
It does, man.
It looks like the Avs game last night was unbelievable. Seems like I missed a great game. That they can't be playing 10:00 games. That's just not okay. But
we talked about that. Hockey. We got into it. I'm going to flip the subject a little bit more because Patrick brought it up yesterday, and it's playoff season. It's playoff season. Obviously, we're talking about hockey, but there really is what I think will be one of the more entertaining sporting events, maybe of the year tonight. Two of the biggest stars in sports as a whole face off tonight in not an elimination game, Patrick. I think that's right, 7 versus 8. But Tim, 10 p.m. tonight, which stinks for the East Coast, but one of the most entertaining, I think, sporting events of the year, whether you like the NBA or not. Steph Curry versus LeBron James in a quasi, I guess, elimination game. The loser still has to play a secondary game against the 9-10 seed. But Golden State versus Los Angeles, the Lakers tonight, 10 o'clock in the play-in game that they've got going for this NBA play-in tournament that they start. And that to me, again, it's not an elimination game because the loser's got to play again. But Tim, we talk about, and Patrick just said, staying up late, and both of us are complaining we're East Coast guys. You're an East Coast guy, but that's going to be, to me, Steph Curry versus LeBron James playoff series. That's going to be one of the more entertaining sporting events, I think, of the year.
Tomorrow.
Those two. Is it tomorrow?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
tonight.
I'm sorry. It starts tonight. You've got Washington. You've got the Wizards tonight. I was tricked. Thought it was tonight.
So help me out with the play-in game concept here. So this is where they basically expanded the playoffs to 10 teams, And that 9th and 10th place game is tonight with the Hornets and Pacers is going to start us. And then there's a 7th and 8th place game, Wizards and Celtics. And how are they doing? Just one game? That's
well,
it?
the Wizards and Celtics are playing for the 7th seed tonight. Whoever wins that game is the 7th seed, and will play the Nets. And then the loser will play the winner of that Hornets Pacers game, and the winner of that game will be the 8th seed.
Whoa.
And they will have to play the Sixers.
Interesting. So it's still 4 teams for 2 seeds, right?
Yeah.
But one of them only has to. So the 7-8 game, you only have to win that first game to be the 7th seed.
Mm-hmm.
And then the loser of that game will still have the chance to be the 8th seed, but will have to beat the winner of the 9-10 game.
Mm-hmm.
Is that what you're telling me?
Yep.
Well, it's interesting. Okay. I'm not a big fan of tricking the playoffs up quite like this, but if it gives you a little bit more intrigue or drama this time of year, I think that's what the NBA needs going into the playoffs, which is still way too long and a completely different season, no doubt about it.
Yeah.
But I'm with you with
way more into
Steph
hockey
Curry
right now. It's just the hockey playoffs are different this year too, but I don't know. The NBA's just bumped me out the last couple of years. So top heavy, like the few teams that are going to be able to win every year. And Bill and I were talking about it yesterday because we were talking about Zion Williamson and like what can the Pelicans do to build around him. And I almost feel like nothing. Just wait for him to leave, because if you're a middle market team, the players decide where they want to go and they'll just leave and go to a big team. I'm just feeling very hopeless about the Wizards and every other team. They're in a market their size.
It's on you, Tim.
We'll never win a championship.
You got to come up with something.
Yeah. It will never happen.
This generation, Bill, unbelievable.
Amazing. We had the Avalanche captain fought Braden Shen, a forward, yesterday. That never happened. Game 1, it was beautiful. Hockey playoffs are going to be the best thing on TV for the next month, 2 months.
Okay. Well, I don't think you'll get much disagreement from us, especially Bill there, who gets into the hockey playoffs. Mm-hmm. That's it, right? Yeah. I'm kind of that guy with the NBA.
The Hurricanes can legitimately win the Stanley Cup this year. People around here should try and buy in on them. I think it'd be cool if everyone did.
And last night, what, a 5-1 winner? 5-2 winner.
5-2, yeah.
Against Nashville to go up 1-0 in that series. Why did you say the Avalanche game, the 4-1 win against St. Louis, was so good?
Oh, it was intense. Just the Avalanche captain Gabriel Landeskog, who's not a fighter at all, fighting a forward, like 2 little guys going at it. It just looked super chippy. So it was like a very violent start to that series. The Avalanche are unbelievable. They won the President's Trophy this year. They're the favorites to win it all. But yeah, Carolina was a 1 seed. They're really fast. They had the 3rd best record in all of hockey. They're a wagon right now, and they piled it on yesterday. They're going to be fun to watch. So
what I've heard so far is just doom and gloom from Patrick, unless you're talking about some hockey fights. He's good.
Well, I'm pretty doom and gloom by the Capitals right now.
Yeah, we're
still playing our 3rd goalie. We almost stole a 2nd game with our 3rd goalie. He did not play very well yesterday. Yeah, we're not very healthy right now.
Oh boy.
Ugly scene towards the end of the Braves game last night. Mets outfielder Kevin Pillar hit in the face by Jacob Webb. Fortunately, was able to get up. It was 94 miles an hour. Able to walk off kind of under his own. Tweeted out that he was basically doing fine. Do we just know about this more now, or is it just me? This seems to be happening a lot more. I feel like Grayson Greiner kind of exposed us to this here locally. The former Gamecock, it happened to him in spring training this year, and unfortunately it turned out to be okay. But I feel like we've seen it now several times. Bryce Harper in there as well so far this season.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, is this happening? You had Greiner, you had Bryce Harper, you had it happen in the South Carolina Clemson game a few weeks ago. I forget the particular batter for Clemson that it kind of ricocheted off. I guess it got him in the cheek because he was bleeding, maybe in the nose, but it was up right around the helmet, the little strap that kind of comes around to try and protect. It got him, and then you saw it. I'm with you. Is this more coverage? We're seeing it more. It's strange, isn't it?
It is. Velocity is up all across baseball, and From the Gamecock perspective, Josiah Seitler, I think, was fortunate. I think he got it grazing kind of the bill of his helmet over the weekend Kentucky game, and he popped right up and ran on first, and was no problem at all. But I got to attribute it to higher velocities across the board, and then maybe it's also just the approach at the plate. It's much more power driven and probably diving towards the plate and the whole thing. But yeah, it's scary stuff, man. It's scary scenes, and fortunate, I think, that Kevin Pillar, the latest, to tweet out he's doing fine even after hit by 94 miles an hour in the face. And from a result standpoint, the Braves lose it 3-1 last night to the New York Mets and continue to struggle a little bit in this stretch. Still trying to regain their form from what we saw last year and dealing with injuries and the whole thing. Max Fried was on the mound last night, and obviously only give up 3 runs at the game. Pretty good job pitching, but batters, the offense not doing much last night for Atlanta, and it gets scary seeing Kevin Pillar 94 miles an hour in the face, but turned out to be okay, fortunate there. So we got all kinds of stuff going on. Major championship golf down in Kiowa this week. Hockey playoffs, NBA playoffs going, and baseball gets going again for the Gamecocks tonight at home. Final midweek game of the year, Appalachian State at Founders Park, before Tennessee comes for 3 games starting Thursday, Friday, and then Saturday in the final regular season SEC series of the year. 803-404-6100. Would love to hear from you. Hope your Tuesday morning is off to a good start. It's the early game. It's 107.5 The Game. Having some fun with your camera this morning, huh, Patrick?
Is it the computer or the camera?
Good question. Patrick, Bill asked if it's the computer or the camera that's giving you a problem.
I don't know. I don't know which one it is. It just can't connect.
No, you get it. You get it.
Yeah, I did see that, Craig.
Saw that, Craig. Temperature's going up. Let me get warm. Going to be warm.
Good time to have a boat.
I'm learning. I did a good job. I mean, I'm not really learning how to drive the boat. Just one of the many things like last night, going out, making sure all the lights work. Just little things like that. Trying to figure out good cruising speed. All the little things that go along with switching from a pontoon, which handles so much different than a deck boat. So where'd y'all play yesterday?
Carmel Country Club in Charlotte.
Okay.
Pretty ridiculously nice. Greens were rolling.
Greens was a rolling.
Yep. Got lost in the locker rooms just looking to go to the bathroom.
Wow, that kind of course, huh?
Yeah.
Was it a charity event or just a tournament, or what were y'all?
Yeah, charity thing. So to help mothers and kids, I think, raise money for them locally. Charity called Mira Via. Looks like Shane Beamer was out at a fundraiser last night as well, so I pop up on Kerry Rich's timeline.
Oh, did he? Beamer's everywhere. That guy gets around. Young guy.
He did that, that drive around. That was good. That was fun.
Yeah, I didn't watch that one.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
Tim, remind me. I was going to text you last night about SEC Media Day. Just remind me before we get off this morning, talk about that, because Patrick and I were talking about it. You saw, I missed it. Back at the end of April, they released the schedule for the week.
Yep. It's Monday for Beamer, I think.
Yeah, and so we were going to talk about the days that we were going to be there, go over some ideas, but
All right.
yeah, because I forget what else I was going to text you about that, but I figured I'd see you this morning. No need to harass you. Figured the 1-year-old probably had you busy. It was probably bedtime for the 6 and the 8-year-old. Dealing with your coworker at 8 to 8:30 didn't seem like the necessary thing to make you do.
Appreciate that.
I saved those text messages for Jen.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I take one for the team.
Well, I came back. I got off the boat, and I came back, and I had grilled some steak the other night. So I had some leftover steak, and I just ate because I think it's pretty good. Cut the steak in half and ate a little bit. Ate some raw asparagus, just instead of steaming it or anything, just cleaned it. Ate that. Was watching the Hurricanes Predators game, and then I was like, man, I'm going to bed. Get a good night of sleep.
Good call.
Did you see the announcement of home and home with UNC?
Oh yeah. That was the other football for 28 and 29.
Yeah,
Mhm.
28 in Columbia, 29.
Have you looked? And we can get into that a little bit because have you seen the breakdown of games? Actually, South Carolina's done a good job all of a sudden of putting together, starting in like 2024, of marquee games. 24 is North Carolina and Charlotte.
I think it's 23.
Oh, 23. I'll go back and look. But yeah, North Carolina. Then you got a Virginia Tech game in Atlanta. Then I think you've got 2 kind of years there where there's nobody, but actually they got open dates or open spots. And then you got the Miami series, the North Carolina series, and somebody said that they were going to play North Carolina State, and I don't remember seeing that.
Yep.
And 30-31.
Yep. It's official.
Virginia Tech in 25. And Coastal in App State. Man, that is a tough schedule in 2025. Defending. When your 4 non-conference games are Clemson, Virginia Tech, Coastal, and App State.
That's what 2025 is going to be?
Yeah.
A little different than this year, huh?
I mean, I guess Coastal could be anything at that point, but
Right.
Chadwell's still there, which he probably won't be.
Sorry to interrupt your jams, murder mystery podcasts, or the motivational beach noises, but we got something else you might like to hear. It's called cash. That's the sound of an extra $250 after your first 10 deliveries with Uber Eats. That's right, an extra $250 on top of all the other cash you'll make during those first 10 deliveries. If that sounds good, visit t.uber.com/extra250 Uber Eats. Deliver with ease. For terms apply, see t.uber.com/extra250 for more details.
That goes Rip.
Home and home series. Gamecocks and Tar Heels. So 2023 will be another Charlotte game between North and South Carolina. That's the next time the 2 teams meet. But yesterday, the announcement came that 2028, North Carolina will come down to Williams-Brice Stadium, and the Gamecocks will return the trip up to Chapel Hill in 2029. Bill, what do you make of the news from yesterday, the home and home series? To me, I'm I'm all for home and homes, especially after having seen the neutral site games, and I think they've kind of run their course a little bit to a large degree.
Yeah, no, I love the home and homes, and I'm hoping that we'll see them. We've got South Carolina's got Miami scheduled. They've got Virginia Tech scheduled. Obviously, they've got the Virginia Tech game at Mercedes-Benz Stadium, and I think that's neat too. Going to Mercedes-Benz, I think if you do a one-off type game in a stadium you haven't been
I don't
to,
know. Those games are just TV games, though, right?
well, they're all TV games.
Absolutely.
I know, but like that's what I'm saying. Like Alabama versus like Oklahoma, if they're playing in a week one, like that's the game everybody wants to see, and it increases the magnitude a little bit. But I feel like South Carolina and Virginia Tech, like that game does not belong in an NFL stadium. Put that on the campus. That's
well,
like,
but they've got.
I've been to too many Charlotte games that
Yeah,
are just like half full and not.
Yeah,
not that
if there wasn't a home and home with Virginia Tech in the future, I'd agree with you, but there is. And the Mercedes-Benz game is, I think it's going to be more centered around, barring something crazy happening, Shane Beamer facing his dad's former team or his alma mater. I mean, there's a little bit more of a storyline there. I think the fact that South Carolina has not gone to Atlanta to play in Mercedes-Benz will be a little bit more entertaining. I'm with you. I think the Charlotte game, to an extent, has run its course. I also think if you had a different kind of matchup, Tennessee and West Virginia are going to play each other soon again in a rematch, by maybe 2027, but in Charlotte at Bank of America. But to answer Tim's question, no, I love it. I went to Chapel Hill the last time South Carolina went up there. I'm excited about the Virginia Tech away game. Patrick, we were doing, I think, what was it, several months ago, the math on your age and already trying to plan a vacation days to go to South Beach for you and your potential significant other when the Gamecocks head to Miami. Look, I'm
2035 is a long way away though for Virginia Tech.
Yeah, but I think the other part is, and I know I'm pretty sure I'm in the minority on this because I don't know if this is a great situation, but I like the trip to East Carolina and I like the trip to Boone when South Carolina goes up to Appalachian State, I think in 2025. I like these little neat away games. I went to Central Florida back in whatever year it was. So it is, I like it too. I'm with you. The home and homes, getting to somebody else's campus. I'd love to see South Carolina find a way to schedule a Penn State, a West Virginia, even a Maryland. Patrick, I've never seen them play Maryland. I've been to Virginia. I went up to Charlottesville back in 02, I think, is when I went up there and watched that. So, yeah, I'm a big fan of those. Throw in Georgia Tech as well, going back to Atlanta for a game.
Do we have a newfound appreciation for home football games in college, especially just after not having full crowds? I think that's kind of where I'm at. And also having seen these neutral site games in Charlotte, Atlanta, wherever they are, I always felt like it was such a pie in the sky idea 15 years ago. Hey, why don't these teams meet in Charlotte and play? And that would be ideal. And there'd be so much going into it. And then to see it come to reality and to see those ticket prices be what they were so high, and I think keep so many people away. And then you just don't have the atmosphere, the environment that you do at a home venue, and it misses something. We were talking about this the other day, talking about the last time you guys have been to an NFL game. And Jen, I remember you saying that there's just something a little extra involved in a college atmosphere. And that surprised me a little bit, knowing that you're such a big Bears fan, and Patrick, you're such a big NFL guy from Washington. It's just different, and I think I appreciate it that much more after not having been able to experience it now for a full season last year, and that's why I appreciate this getting on the schedule that much more.
Yeah, I'm just so over the NFL stadiums. That's, like you said, the ticket price is ridiculous. I really think in college football, it only works if it's like a top five week one matchup. Like, I think Mercedes-Benz opened up. Didn't it open up with that 1-2 Alabama-Florida State game? Like was that not it? I thought that's what it opened with.
You might be right. I'm thinking
so.
back now, it was 4 or 5 years ago, and now I'm thinking
Francois got hurt.
Yep.
Yeah. So like that is befitting of an NFL stadium atmosphere, or like Jerry World, like a big out of conference game in week 1 in Jerry World, like that fits the bill. But for South Carolina fans, like that's for me. I just want to go to a new school. Like I want to go visit a campus. I agree with you about App State, Bill, and schools like that. Is the disagreement that like people think South Carolina should never have to travel to a school of that caliber? Is that where the disconnect is? Like it's beneath us to go there.
Why make a difficult schedule
Right.
more difficult?
Well, no. I think the issue
If you're going to make money,
it's a lose-lose situation when you go to an Appalachian State or a Central Florida or an East Carolina. It's those are mid-majors, especially Central Florida. Back when South Carolina beat them, Central Florida had Blake Bortles and they were, I think, that year a one-loss team. That loss was to Dylan Thompson and Mike Davis and Jadeveon Clowney, that South Carolina team. If you go down there and win, everybody goes, well, you're an SEC team. You should win. If you lose, it becomes national news that day. If you play an early game, it's shown throughout the day on the highlights. Same thing. You go to East Carolina in week 2. South Carolina should win that game. I mean, they should win the game. You go to Appalachian State. We know Appalachian State has been a well-run program for many years now, going back to winning in the Big House, coming obviously here to Columbia and winning. Appalachian State is a good program that if you don't take seriously, they'll jump up and bite you and embarrass you. And South Carolina was a 4-8 team. They were a bad football team 2 years ago. They were a bad football team. Appalachian State was the better team. There was no question about it. But when South Carolina lost that night game, it was still news. And so you go up to Boone. Appalachian State's got a really good fan base. It's going to be a small stadium. Appalachian State's going to be excited to have you on their campus. They're going to have that game circled from day one. Same thing with East Carolina this year. It's a chance for Mike Houston and East Carolina to make a statement. If South Carolina wins, maybe there's a 15-second clip of you scoring a touchdown or holding on to win or whatever.
They'll show the best play and then just flash
Right.
the score up and then keep it moving.
But if you lose the game,
they'll show East Carolina dancing in the locker room.
Yeah.
And
exactly.
throwing water on the coach.
That's why I think people don't like it. It's not necessarily the trip or getting going and experiencing something different. It's that what are you gaining by playing that game? That's why a lot of teams don't do it. I think it's been hard for South Florida. I think Florida's going to South Florida. We've seen Miami go to Appalachian State. For some reason, I feel like Miami, the Hurricanes, also had some kind of weird trip to Arkansas State that they were either supposed to play this year or that they did play. I can't, you think about it, Texas, I think went to Central Florida to help open their stadium or something. So you do see it occur. You just don't see it happen often because for big name schools, it's a lose-lose proposition. That's great. Like Patrick just said, you win the game, 1 or 2 highlights are shown, they flash the score up, boom, they move on to another game. You lose, they show the coach dancing in the locker room, the players going crazy. It's even if South Carolina is an unranked team that stinks, it becomes news.
I think when we put the polls up, it's always people vote, yeah, we want to play competitive games because we want to see competitive games. We want to go to places. But I mean, just looking at the other seasons, the future schedules, that year that we go to Boone, it's Virginia Tech in Atlanta, it's at App State, and then you're hosting Coastal Carolina. And who knows if Jamie Chadwell is still there, but his fingerprints will probably be on the program still in some way, shape, or form. So they could be pretty strong. People could totally just go through that season. You go 0-3 and out of conference before you even get to Clemson, and people will just completely flip on all of that. That could be a really tough schedule.
It's been interesting for me, Patrick. I know this was way before your time. So growing up where South Carolina was an independent, and they would play these ridiculous games. Pearson did the throwback podcast from the Black Magic 1984 season, right? And that was a game with Florida State, game at Notre Dame, before the tough loss at Navy, and the whole way that you tell that story. And it's almost hard to fathom now the way that Gamecock football had to schedule back in the day, because they had to play big name opponents just to be relevant in college football. I think that mindset for me has always still existed. Like, hey, the more marquee non-conference games you can play, the better. Do it. But now coming off just an SEC only schedule and where the Gamecocks program has been, knowing what the schedule is this year for Shane Beamer, I think about as favorable as you can get when you're talking about non-conference games with Eastern Illinois, Troy, and East Carolina before Clemson. Builds. Do Gamecock fans still see it the same way? Do you think there has been a switch in the way they're seeing things, or when I heard the news yesterday, North Carolina on the South Carolina football schedule. South Carolina should beat North Carolina in football, even though I know the all-time series is in North Carolina's favor, but I think it's 6 out of the last 8 maybe in South Carolina's favor. To me, my mind is still kind of, I think, in that old independent way of looking at non-conference games as opposed to what you just said, Patrick. 2025, that is a ridiculous schedule for non-conference games. Yeah. Virginia Tech, Coastal Carolina, where the program is, and talking about Clemson, obviously just being there, it is not going to be easy. And what Appalachian State has been recently, I think if it's a different kind of program, you look at that thing and say, no way that's what you want to set yourself up for if you're looking to win football games.
Well, we talk about that, but you look, this is happening. I love this. I do love this. This is happening across college football. We've kind of talked about it. Georgia is the leader in this because they got to play in the SEC. So they've got Auburn, they've got Florida. I forget who else they play in 2026, 2027. But 2026, they got UCLA and at Louisville plus Georgia Tech on the schedule. 2028 at Texas and a game with Florida State on the schedule. 2029. Texas is at home and they play at Clemson. 2030, Clemson and Ohio State. Oh boy, talk about a nice home schedule in 2030. Georgia will have Clemson, Ohio State, and Georgia Tech plus whatever's on their SEC slate all come to Athens. So if you're a Georgia fan, what a schedule that year. But yeah, I think that's part of it. You see people beefing up their non-conference schedules, and for the big boys, the true big boys, Ohio State, Georgia, people like that, you've got to do that because I think you're seeing the movement, the thought process that we're going to open up the college football playoff, and a loss, maybe 2 losses, doesn't hurt you. Now, South Carolina, again, what one thing that you asked about, seeing North Carolina, when I saw North Carolina on the schedule, I was only happy because I saw it was a home and home. And I'm with Patrick totally on this. Maybe if it had been a different venue, say hypothetically it was going to be, another team in Orlando, or I do like the Atlanta game because it's new. Let's say that they went up to Landover, Maryland, Patrick, and play.
Yeah, I just feel like Charlotte, definitely never Charlotte, but Atlanta doesn't feel like it should be special because like your goals as a program is to get to Atlanta at the end of the year. So playing it at the beginning of the year.
It's just new. If you do it 2 or 3 times, it's not. That's the Bank of America thing. Yeah. When they did it the first time, was it North Carolina, Tim, that they did it the first time? Yeah, it's like East Carolina. Forgot about that. Yeah, East Carolina. Was at a buddy's wedding that evening. We all kept sneaking away. Got really upset at us. We're down in Charleston. We kept sneaking away to watch the game, and the group had to come yell at us in the room to come back to the wedding. The bride was not happy, but
that's her schedule.
yeah. So, but anyway, I say all that because the first time you do it, it's cool. But when I saw that it was a home and home with North Carolina, I think it's really cool. I've had friends that are Clemson fans that are excited about trips to LSU and some of the ones that they've got on their schedule here in the coming years. And I think being able to go and see a different stadium, a different environment, a different tailgate, a different town, a college campus like that is a lot more fun as opposed to consistent games that are these made for television games, the one-off games, whether it's in Arlington at Jerry World or whether it's, at Houston or
what are the chances of South Carolina playing an international game in the next 30 years?
Why? That's the one. When you say that, why?
Because it'd be awesome.
The why chances. Patrick, this was another excuse to travel. I got no problem with that. Again, North Carolina added to the South Carolina football schedule. home and home. 28 will be in Columbia, 29 in Chapel Hill. That's the news coming out yesterday. I think pretty much met favorably across the board. To me, this is the surest sign, Bill. You were talking about what Georgia's doing. The surest sign that college football, the playoff, will expand. This is where programs are making decisions, I think, with the thought process that it's obvious that this is what it's just going to be. And I think it's moving in the right direction for the sport, for the fans in general, for the product. It just improves across the board. And like you said, the chance to go to different venues, to have different fan bases come to yours, that's the special part in college football, I think. We'll continue to discuss. We need to take a quick break right now. It's the early game. It's 107.5.
It's a new year.
They're hungry, they're driven.
In a new attitude.
I want guys that want to be here, not just going out there to hire some guy that has a famous last name.
It's about some retreads. We're a bunch of guys that I think are ready to prove.
So why don't we go with that theme, Bill? Trying to think maybe the stadium experience you remember the most. Something like that. The away trip, the trip you remember the most as you are, that sticks out in your mind. I'll do something like that. That's what I'm thinking.
Okay.
Beamer was talking about coming to Columbia like he has before, but just mentioning those 80s games when he came to Columbia for the first time, when he was helping his dad out, exposed to Williams-Brice for the first time. He was talking about that on his drive around the golf cart.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. You're talking about just one individual game, what people remember the most about going.
Right. Kind of just a road trip maybe that you remember the most growing up.
Okay. Yeah, let's go with that. Yeah, I think people get into that.
And Bill, we have 2 spots for you to cut this morning.
Yeah. You want to do that at the top of this hour, or do you need to wait?
Doesn't matter.
Okay.
Whatever works best for you.
Which one, Anthony? Which one? I'm guessing the first.
Yeah, I was going to say, I went to the first one. I didn't go to the second one. And then I went to the Clowney game.
The Clowney game.
Clowney game. That's what it's known as, where he hit poor Vincent Smith.
Yeah.
Greg, I don't think that's right. Wasn't that 88? Did they go to the Gator Bowl in 88? I think
84.
Right, and that wasn't Barry Sanders.
Yeah. 88, I think, was LSU in the Gator Bowl.
Yeah, I was there. I remember that one.
Yeah, we got beat like 34-10.
It wasn't pretty. So it was the Gator Bowl trip previously, but Barry Sanders wasn't playing. I mean, he might have been sitting on the bench, but I don't think so.
I'd also like to schedule Oklahoma State, though.
Oh, he was talking about the Clowney hit. He was. So I went to the first 2 Outback Bowls, and then the most forgettable one of all time against Iowa. Yeah, Craig.
That was brutal. That was one of the last like 11 a.m. Outback Bowl kickoffs. You know, then they moved it at least to where you weren't dying when you got up that morning.
Yep.
We're heading back in.
Thank you.
But I wasn't there for that one. I was home.
You're up.
Making me feel my age this morning, talking about the Gamecocks adding North Carolina to the football schedule. 28 and 29, going to be a home and home. College football's getting it right, doing more of these. The Gamecocks and the Tar Heels getting it right, having the games on campus. I think most of us will appreciate that even more as we sit here in May, having, if you went to games last year, I went to a couple at Williams-Brice, you understand what a different environment it was. I was there. I was appreciative of the games, Bill, but I also felt a little bit like I was watching a college football game on a different planet, if that makes sense. Like the environment was the same physically. It was still the same stadium, same parking lot, some of the same people, but it was just a different feel, such a different feel that it was odd, I think is the best way to put it.
Well,
and now I'm looking forward to the full experience, much more of what we're used to. I know it's probably going to be a little bit different than what we had in 2019 and previously moving forward with college football. But I think I'm hoping to appreciate it that much more and to get that same kind of feel back. Because I'll tell you this, when I was at Founders Park earlier this season, it was game 2 in that Arkansas series, the one that was earlier in the afternoon. And this was the first time I think they had increased capacity. And Carolina won that game, and it was a kind of a late arriving crowd. But just to hear the crowd get into a game, it was that same feeling that I had, even though it was only half capacity in the whole thing. It was a similar feel, and it just, I don't know what it was exactly, but my brain, my body was kind of connecting to the event more than I had experienced in a long time.
yeah, I understand what you're saying. Look, part of the atmosphere at Williams-Brice Stadium this year is because South Carolina stunk. And because just with Will Muschamp, especially coming off a 4-8 season, a cloud was hanging over the program and just so much. I mean, I went to the opener against Tennessee, and the excitement to get college football back and, everything that was college football, even then. And I know everybody's not like me, but a lot of people, it's the game day experience. A lot more people enjoy the tailgate and everything that goes on with the entire game day experience. Just seeing people maybe you don't see but 7 or 8 times a year, and your family in quotations that tailgate across from you or throwing the football with your kids. Yeah, all those little things did take away from not being able to do it. I mean, I would go to the Tennessee game. Heath and I do the pregame show. I'm sitting here where I'm sitting this morning and do the pregame show. And I'm like, well, we're not really supposed to tailgate. I mean, I guess people did go, but we got out there. I went and we got out there like game was at 7 o'clock, and we get out there at 6 o'clock, have like one drink, and kind of have to hide behind the car without masks and whatever, and then go into the stadium. And even then, the first game back, just because of the cloud of Will Muschamp hanging over the program, I think that took away from it as much as anything. I think if you had a Shane Beamer and you had a new excitement, even if we didn't expect him to be great, I think there would have been a different energy level even with that crowd. I didn't go to the Auburn game. I didn't go, so I don't know what it was like being there that day. Patrick, we talked about it. You and I in particular. I don't really remember what Luke Doty did at the end of the season. I just mentally checked out. For the first time ever, I enjoyed sitting at my house and not wasting my day because South Carolina was so bad, sitting at my house and focusing on other football games than worrying about a Carolina football game the day I watched it, because it's part of my job. I got to talk about it. But it was just, I think a lot of that environment, even with the reduced crowd and some of the things taken away, I think a lot of that environment was the Will Muschamp cloud that was hanging over the football program.
I hear what you're saying, but I also saw 21 losses in a row. And the environment, I think there was something too going through that as well as a Gamecock supporter back then, to where you felt like, hey, well, at least we're all in this together. We're all, I think there's something that you can look around and say, "Are you seeing this? Can you believe this?" You can at least feel a little bit better when everybody is involved, as opposed to, first of all, you can only have so many people, and then you don't get the results you're looking for.
My generation is quicker to jump ship.
Well, no doubt. Did you hear?
I think we
yourself
opened.
start the show?
Yeah, that's what happened with the Caps.
Hour 2 coming up.
Went and got some creamer yesterday. It has sugar in it. Much better coffee.
Is there a creamer that doesn't have sugar in it?
Yeah, he
Yes,
bought some.
yes, it is, and it is not good at all. I don't know if you gave me the option of straight black coffee, coffee with creamer with no sugar, or coffee with sugar and the creamer like the hazelnut that I bought. That's third on the list is the no sugar creamer. That was disgusting.
You missed that rant when you went to the golf course. So sorry for you.
Yeah, I was miserable. Very unhappy. More coffee though.
Oh, Crazy M. Good to hear from you. I don't think we've heard from you on the Twitter live stream before. That's a pretty cool avatar. Is that Sky Moore?
Looks like it.
It's RJ Roderick's number now, right?
It's really cool.
Yeah, good question, Craig. I'm going to go back and try to find that box score. I think Thurman Thomas was more like 86, 87, and then Barry Sanders was 88. Look it up.
Yeah, he got drafted in '88.
Sanders got drafted in 88, so it was the 87.
Thurman Thomas got drafted in '88, I think.
Right.
That's what I just looked up. Avalanche wins the Stanley Cup. They're the best team in hockey, Donald. Although the Lightning could definitely do it.
Oh, wow. Al Michaels was the play-by-play guy for the Gator Bowl, where Thurman Thomas was co-MVP with Mike Holt. 21-14 the final. Thomas, 155 rushing yards, 32 carries. That would had to be as a true freshman then, right? 84, 85, 86, 87.
Was Thomas 84? Was he 85, 86? Sanders was 8. Here's the crazy thing. Barry Sanders was only a 1 or 2 year hit at
88, I think. Because I'll never forget there's a famous Sports Illustrated picture of him going over the top, I think. I'll look that up. Barry Sanders, that's high. So it might have been 88, 89 of Sanders. Nope. Haven't seen it yet. There it is. How did it not pop up the first time? the Colorado game, maybe? Went really old school back in the 80s today. Oh, yeah. Nice work. Comes Sean in. Still do it, I think, Craig.
Do you see the guy that the Austin P guy is getting an NFL tryout now?
Oh, is he? Good for him.
Yeah.
Where?
San Diego. What is hub football?
Oh, I hope that's a real one if he's got to fly out there and not drive. That'd
I
be
think
worse.
it's like it's called hub football, and it's like, I guess, just a tryout thing that multiple scouts come out to and watch them practice. So it's, I don't know. I don't really understand, but it's in San Diego. They're probably, hub football is probably using that as a marketing opportunity because they know if they just invite that kid, everyone's going to talk about.
That's true.
I wonder if he's any good.
The kid?
Yeah.
We could ask Clayton White. Didn't he play for Clayton White in Western Kentucky?
He was at
Austin P.
Oh, Austin P. I don't know why I was thinking. Well, they're red and white teams. Same thing.
I think his first team All Ohio Valley Conference.
Yeah.
Guys are
Great week here in the state of South Carolina. Kiowa Island, the spot for the PGA Championships of the golf world. Headquartered down at Kiowa, and another major championship. I guess it's Colin Morikawa, who is the defending PGA Championship champion. Got Rory McIlroy, who won it last time there was a major championship on Kiowa, I believe, and coming off a win at Wells Fargo as well. So I think a lot of people have him towards the top of the boards, the power rankings, if you will. Bill, you got a pick, an early prediction of who you think is going to win this sucker? You going to continue to ride Bryson DeChambeau these days, or where you headed here?
No, I don't know. I feel like this Justin Thomas is just he's kind of laying in the weeds and is certainly a guy that can come out of nowhere. I'm interested to see how Dustin Johnson performs, but again, they were giving stats. DJ's not playing his best right now. I don't know if he can get it turned around. Koepka's pretty banged up. Is going to try and go. I don't think he can do it. I am interested to see if Rory McIlroy can take what he did last week and build upon it and go down there and win his first major. I mean, it was crazy. You know what the last major he won was?
Was it the 2012 one? It's been a long time.
That's the very last major that's the last time he won a major. If you made me pick right now, I'm going to go with either Jordan Spieth, who completes the career Grand Slam. I think he's playing well. I was listening again. Some of this is not my analysis. It's I forget. I better cite. Make sure I don't plagiarize. I better cite whoever said it yesterday. But
when did you start doing this?
I've learned some lessons here lately, Tim. You get very upset if you forget to.
Did you do it on Thursday when you made your last NASCAR pick?
Huh?
Did you cite when you made your last NASCAR pick?
Well, no, but that's just because that's a whole bunch of just facts that are thrown. That wasn't an article that I read or listened to. That was just that was looking at basically the Vegas. I mean, I could cite Vegas, I guess.
You didn't look
Yeah.
up any articles when you made your NASCAR pick.
I basically look up the odds. Oh, you're gonna take me down a path of like how much like we would never get through that segment if I started counting off like all the little articles I read that I put together those facts on. But no, they were talking yesterday about how Jordan Spieth comes into this tournament, and it's probably as relaxed. The Golf Channel was talking about it, Pearly Golf Channel. I forget who, but they were talking about just how relaxed he comes in and how he's been playing better this year. And so Spieth or Justin Thomas, and then I think who was it? Was it Webb Simpson that they mentioned yesterday, who's made 15 straight cuts in majors? Guy to keep an eye on there, Webb Simpson. So. Yeah, I'd go, but I think I'll go with the big names, and I'll say one of I reserve the right to change by 8 a.m. on Thursday morning. But yeah, I like Spieth, man. I think Spieth or Justin Thomas.
All right, I'm looking at the PGA Tour's power rankings for this thing going in. You want to guess where they have some of these guys ranked? They just have 1 through 20. Some names. You want to go? Let's go with Spieth since you mentioned him. Where do you think you have him ranked 1 through 20?
In the World Golf Rankings?
No.
What was this?
Power rankings. This is more
Power
opinion, right? Of how guys are playing coming into this thing and how they were ranking just as far as
top five,
maybe.
top five.
Patrick, what about you? Where do you think Jordan Spieth
For
ranks?
Spieth, 7.
Not a bad guess. 11 is where they have Jordan Spieth.
Really?
Webb Simpson just in front of him. Apparently, Simpson's been out the last month with a bad neck, sitting home with a sore neck. And so he's taking some time off, does lead the tour in scrambling and bogey avoidance. Those are things to lead the tour in. Yeah, you guys want to guess who's number 1 on the list there, power rankings going into this week?
Bryson?
Bill, no guess?
I'm trying to get it right. I want to get it right. I'm trying to get. Is it Justin Thomas?
It is not Justin Thomas. He's at number 5. Bryson DeChambeau, number 2. They just went with. Go
Could be
ahead.
Rory.
It's not
Rory.
Just one, right?
Really?
Yeah, they've got Rory number 1.
I don't understand how they get to this. That's why I was asking you what this ranking was, because outside of last week, he's not played well.
So
I guess
he
he's been.
won last week, and he won the last time they had the major here. I think it's
Oh,
pretty simple. That's how they got there.
okay.
Number 2 was DeChambeau, like I mentioned. You guys want to guess 3 and 4 since we had Justin Thomas at 5, and then we'll move off these power rankings there. But it's a fun little play-along game.
I don't know. The fact that they got Rory at 1, it makes it really hard to pick.
I think they're gonna
Morikawa,
pick
maybe?
this up now.
Morikawa is it 3 or 4?
They've got Colin Morikawa at 13.
Patrick, you want to take a guess?
Oh, I'm looking at the list now. I would have never guessed 3 or 4. Never in a million years.
Okay.
I like-
Come on.
I like
Come on.
Will Zalatoris at number 20, who doesn't even have his tour card still, right?
I think that's right. Or certainly not maybe full-time status is the deal
Yeah.
he's playing for right now. Sam Burns coming in right behind him. Guys have been playing well lately. So I like this kind of power ranking or this kind of rankings where it's not just a mathematical formula, right? It does take into account trends and is basically just all opinion here. But number 3 and 4, Bill, come on, you can give us some guesses.
Well, Patrick just said never in a million years would he guess. Is that's
Well, because they're
He's not a
not
golf
like the
guy.
big names. I'm not a golf
Guys,
guy.
he's watching
I
lacrosse
don't know.
and hockey
I'm
these
reading some of
days.
Victor Hovland, Daniel Berger, Patrick Cantley. Yeah, I feel like you're.
Hovland's number 3.
Yeah, I feel like you're going to give me. Yeah, Hovland. I feel like you're going to give me another name that's just out there. Justin Rose, maybe.
It's not
I
that
mean,
out there.
No, I wouldn't play the game if I was just trying to mess with you. No, Justin Rose not on the list, 1 through 20 that I'm seeing here, interestingly enough. So 1 McIlroy, 2 DeChambeau, 3 Victor Hovland, 5 Justin Thomas, like I mentioned. 4 is another big name in golf. It's not
Wasn't he the runner-up at the Masters?
oh, is it John Rahm?
No.
no, he's
John
number
Rahm or-
6. Another good guess.
Alexander Schauffele?
Yeah, Xander Schauffele, number 4. On the
Xander.
let's see. You mentioned Daniel Berger. He's at 8. They have Mark Leishman at 7, Matt Fitzpatrick at 9, and then mentioned Webb Simpson,
Where-
George Beat, 10 and 11.
Where's my guy? Where's my guy? Where's my guy? Captain America, Mr. Cheater. Where's my guy? I need to get me a
Patrick
Patrick
Reed.
Reed jersey this week.
He's not
I
playing.
said this is also opinion stuff. So I think
Is that only?
is the guy who did these power rankings, it looks like, on the PGAtour.com. He left Patrick Reed off.
Oh, is it only for this week?
Good for him.
Yeah, just for this week.
Oh,
So
okay.
that's all
Okay,
they
so
do.
it's not like a week to week type ranking. He's just doing it for the. Got it. No problem.
So that's why Rory McIlroy, number 1, I think, going into this thing. And it's going to be a lot of fun to keep track of. And anytime you get golf at the Ocean Course, and Bill, you mentioned it now, number 1, just checking the ticket situation. I think you could still find your way onto the golf course, certainly if you want to invest enough resources. If you've never been down there, certainly would encourage you to go while you have the chance. Major championship golf is just a little different. And to see the field this week, and I guess it's supposed to heat up, and the whole thing will be very interesting. I'll give a pick tomorrow. We'll wait until the day before to give some official picks. Maybe we can go a couple of picks and see how we keep each other accountable, see who wins this thing. I think Jen is the best golf picker through the years. What do you think, Jen? Gave me a weird look after that one.
It just disgusts me that, that I'm the best golf picker, but I'm not the best NASCAR picker, and that just irritates the tar out of me.
I can understand that. Why you
The
giving her
best
a weird
golf
look? You don't think she has the track record for being is that
Does
you're
she?
going to take credit for that?
I've been a little bit better.
I don't even know who who did you take in the Masters? I don't even remember who we had. I don't even know we did a Masters pick.
We didn't do a Masters.
No, we haven't done it lately. We haven't done
I was
it
gonna say, I don't
lately.
even think Tim was. I think that was Tim's week off.
Yeah, you and I just picked a guy, Bill. It was just you and me that.
I was gonna say.
I picked Morikawa.
I feel like Jim's just chiming in here to try and overcompensate for being awful at NASCAR. Just all of a sudden taking.
Oh wait, what is this button?
You'll
I
hear
love
from
Jim.
Bill for a
Jim's
while.
fantastic.
Dustin Johnson,
Jim's
by the
best
way,
person on this
number
program.
17 in these power rankings. The former Dutch Fork High standout and world's number 1. The 2020 Masters champ has been scuffling for 3 months, so expectations are tempered, is what it reads on PGAtour.com. And it's not expectations for everyone. Barron hits us up, says, my pick is Dustin Johnson. If he is on, the rest play for second. Yeah, I was going to say, I don't think the course necessarily sets up great for him the way he overpowers others. It says, Twig hits us up this morning and says the course is playing almost 7,900 yards, so it's going to be a bomber. Except
What's a normal number?
72, I think, is typically somewhere around normal. I don't know. All of those numbers are ridiculous.
Yeah, he could
Compared
have said 5,000 yards, and I've been like, whoa, that's a lot.
Right, compared to mere mortal golf, all those numbers are ridiculous. So it's that rare thing where you have to hit it far, but you also can't get in too much trouble. I think Dustin is just prone to such a big number every now and again. I think that's why he's not at the top of some of these power rankings. Rory is as well. And then Twig hits us back 7,300 yards is the typical one, and this one playing at 79 with the elements. How the wind ends up affecting this thing will be a huge factor, no doubt about it. I wanted to get into what we talked about a little bit more in hour number 1, how North Carolina has been added now to the South Carolina football schedule, 28 and 29, home and home in Columbia in 28 and 2029, the return trip to Chapel Hill. But it got me thinking about some of the most notable trip, I think, in college football that I took a while back, the one that sticks out to me, because these on-campus ones, I think we kind of came to the agreement in the first hour, Bill. That's the way to do things right now in college football. It just makes it more special that you get to experience the other environment. You get to take in another campus, fan base, the whole thing. And that got me thinking about the trips that I've been able to make through the years and some that have stuck out to me. It's weird what ends up sticking in your memory. Would love to hear your favorite football trip from growing up. I guess it wouldn't even have to be a football one. If it's a sporting event of any kind, the one that kind of stuck out to you doesn't have to necessarily be a college one either. It's a particular pro stadium or something, an experience that sticks out. Would love to hear from you at 803-404-6100. You're listening to the early game here. It's 107.5 The Game.
Hey, we've got a way to help you with that Zoom call for work. You know when the mute button is on and they can't hear you? You can be listening to 107.5 The Game and they would have no idea.
That is awesome.
Tim,
From
where did you say you saw tickets for the
I just-
PGA?
I just randomly searched and there's some kind of ticket exchange, I think. So I'm guessing that's a secondary market.
I hate using StubHub and Ticketmaster and all that stuff. So is it not sold out though through let's see here, I'm going to the PGAtour.com.
Good question. I don't know for sure.
Oh wait, what is this? Oh. Congaree Golf Club. So you can buy tickets now to Congaree Golf Club, $70 for daily grounds, $235 for weekly. How about that?
Pretty sweet.
I would do that. I'm going. That's the weekend though that I'm going to Pinehurst with a buddy for that little golf getaway that we did last year. I'll do the radio show that Friday morning, then as soon as the show's over, I'll book it out of town, go up to Pinehurst, and do the 3 days that year. 3 days this year. Golf commentators are a weird thing. Like they're showing. I flipped over. You got me all excited now about the PGA Championship. Like, how old is Justin Leonard? Like, it feels like Justin Leonard should be playing and not commentating. Or when I see Notah Begay.
Never heard of either of those guys.
Wow. Yeah, I guess 50, not quite 50.
48. Like, to see David Duvall doing commentary, like, we saw those guys playing good. Like, it's not like baseball where Alex Rodriguez or football like Tony Romo just, that age thing catches up with them. In golf, it's like these guys just were like, all right, I stink at golf now. I guess I'll go do commentary. I mean, they could easily
This is on my YouTube recommended page right now because I was watching this video maybe a week ago. Just discovered it. If I say Jean Van de Velde, do you know exactly what video I'm talking about?
I watched when is the video from the British Open?
Yeah, just like an epic collapse on hole 18.
I remember watching it. He hit it in the creek. He couldn't get it out. That was crazy. I remember. What was that? I was 23, 24 years. I was young.
It was crazy. All he needed to do was make a 6.
Yeah.
God, it didn't do it. Like just made a 7. No, he needed to make a 5, I think, to win and make a 6 to force the playoff, and then he lost in the playoff, of course.
And what's the year attached to that?
99.
99. I was in high school.
And who ended up winning?
I don't know who ended up winning.
Yeah, nobody knows who won. We just remember Jean Van de Velde.
Yeah.
Who did?
I don't know who won it. I'll check.
I want to see if I can get it without you checking then. 99 British. I'll go Padraig Harrington.
It was in the playoff was Van de Velde, Justin Leonard, and Paul Lawrie.
Oh,
Paul.
I think Paul Lawrie won that, didn't he?
He did. He won
Build up.
350,000 euros or pounds.
What were you saying, Jim?
I was just saying, Bill W. from West Columbia shared a story with me. He's heading into work, but basically from when Jim Carlin was the coach, And Carolina played in Hawaii. He got to go to one of those games, and so that was pretty spectacular.
Yeah, I can see that.
Who was this?
When the Gamecocks played in Hawaii.
Oh, I got that. Who was telling you they went?
Bill
Bill
W.
W. Huh?
Yeah, but he said the one thing that was not so great was the fact that there were supposed to be some parachute people like parachuting into the stadium, and they didn't end up doing it because apparently there was a fuel issue and the plane crashed and people like perished. But they didn't know about that till after the game. So he said, that kind of put a kind of bad spin on it. But other than that, it was a great game and a great trip. So. All right, head it back in.
There we go. Mobile down. Now we're on the website. Hey. That was a little bit harder than it needed to be.
All right, you guys are up.
24/7. The Hot Take Hotline is there for you. 803-978-6654. If you ever need to vent, you're welcome to give that a call. Get your hot take out there. Hot Take Hotline sponsored by Twin Peaks for the Men Who Never Settle. Go see them down in the Vista at 600 Gervais Street.
Why did you guys cut my access off from being able to call in and vent?
Maybe a couple of NASCAR weekends in a row had something to do with that, Jim.
Could be.
Anthony just hits us up. This is what this is the kind of thing that I love here. Whenever my Pittsburgh Pirates play the Anaheim Angels, my brother and I will be there. This was in Anaheim. Anthony from Kershaw could have given me a million guesses. I never would have come up with the historical perennial powerhouse matchup between the Pittsburgh Pirates and the Anaheim Angels. That is a big matchup in your opinion. To ask, coming off of the news yesterday that North Carolina and South Carolina signed up for a home-and-home football series, the one trip that kind of stands out in your mind. Bill, do you have one off the top of your head? Because mine it was several consecutive trips, right? It was 86, 88, 90. And I'm a year younger, I think, or a few months younger than Shane Beamer, and the new Carolina football coaches talked about it a couple times. So it was those alternate years, I think, 87 and 89, where Virginia Tech was coming to South Carolina. So he talks about that's the first time he came down to Williams-Brice Stadium, the old Virginia Tech and South Carolina matchups. These were home-and-home series. So I made the other trip. I went up to Blacksburg, I think all three of those times. And my dad has some family up that way, so I remember meeting kind of cousins for the first time. Remember playing chess. That's what a big nerd I was. Had some sort of travel chess set. That's how I think my dad kept me busy in the back seat. Went with like a soccer buddy of mine a couple of times. I randomly remember I think he had a broken arm for one of those, so we had to be careful playing beforehand. It's just one of those memories that sticks out in my head. I think probably also that time of year, maybe seeing some of the trees had turned, and Blacksburg was a really manageable trip, just a few hours, not too long, and great games. That 86 game, I was just looking up the results, tied 27-27. The 88 game was a 26-24 Gamecock win, and the 90 game in Blacksburg was a 35-24 Carolina win. There was another tie in Columbia in 89 between these two teams. The 91 game in Columbia was a 28-21 Gamecock win, and Carolina thumping Virginia Tech 40-10 in 1987 at Williams-Brice Stadium. So a lot of good games in between those, and just also I was 86 making that trip. I was 8 years old as well. Kind of a formative time for me to take a trip like that. Probably one of the first road trips I was able to earn my way on with my dad there. So those are some that stick out to me. You got anything, Bill, that sticks out?
Yeah, I mean, the majority of my road trips are in some way entertaining. Of course, it's who you go with, and as I've gotten older, it's kind of what you do, as you pointed out, that like on the road trip. It's not just going to the football game. I remember the first road trip that I ever went on. My father woke me up early on a Saturday morning and said, "Come on, we're going to South Carolina versus Georgia." I think this was like 96 or 95 or something. Zola Davis it was Anthony Wright, and Zola Davis, South Carolina got beat 42-23 that day. I remember Zola Davis caught a touchdown in the corner of the end zone to make it closer. Georgia just wore us out. What I do remember about that day, we took a bus over there. It was one of those kind of party. I mean, I was young. I wasn't partying, but we got on a chartered bus and went over there that morning. It was a kind of an afternoon game. And it was the same day that Northwestern like jumped on the football scene and beat Notre Dame 17-15. And I remember like being on the bus over there and people like going crazy. I think that was like Ron Paulus' his first game or something as a freshman, but Northwestern won, and that was the year Northwestern made the run to the Rose Bowl. And I remember like that being a memory. I remember that more so than South Carolina getting drug up and down the field by Georgia that afternoon. That's always been a good road trip. I mean, look, the game stunk, but again, you talk about road trips and who you go with and the things you do. The Birmingham Bowl, because of how cold it was, I feel like everybody that went to the Birmingham Bowl were all one big family. Like everybody experienced that together, and everybody comes back. It's like if you just say like, "Oh, the Birmingham Bowl," everybody's like, "I was there, man." Like, and you just hug each other, and you're like, "I'm sorry." That was a tough experience for all of us. It was like, it was kind of like going to Siberia. Like you just felt bad for each other. Like you go and it was cold, and they ran out of pizza, and Connecticut smacked us around that day, and it was a questionable experience, but you all just kind of like laugh. But I go back and the people I was with, and I think because it was such a bad experience that it actually was fun and it stands out. I've made several trips to Tennessee, and I think that's maybe the equivalent of what you were talking about going to Virginia Tech. The leaves changing. It's not a bad drive, 4.5 hours. Always like tailgating right there on the river and doing stuff like that. So there's a bunch of them. The first time I ever went to LSU, and somebody hit us up and said that LSU, that was one of the worst trips they've ever been because of how the LSU fans treated the South Carolina fans. And I remember seeing that, like they were the nicest people in the parking lot before the game. And then you went into the stadium and it was just like Thunderdome in there. And LSU fans turned on the South Carolina fans and were just, you really weren't sure you were going to get out alive. So there's a lot of things like that. I think with certain road trips that I remember that stand out, that make a bunch of them unique for me. I don't know if I have one. I don't know if I have one that stands out above the rest. I'm sitting here trying to think through my time of ones that really, really stand out.
Yeah, that was Teddy D who mentioned that Georgia and LSU, where he's been treated the rudest, but he says Auburn, hands down, the nicest fan experience for me. Well, you also got to keep in mind how those games were going too.
Yeah,
Carolina's never won at Auburn that I know of.
I don't even know if I think aside from the Anthony Wright game in the 90s where he fumbled late and we lost 28-24, most of them have been close because I was there. Spurrier's first year, they beat us 48-7, and they were super nice to us.
That first Cam Newton game was relatively close, at least for a while. Didn't work out for the Gamecocks much closer than that SEC championship game 2010. So I think that has something to do with it as well. Want to hear from Patrick and from Jen, and we actually heard from Bill W. Off the air on the Love Chevy phone lines, 803-404-6100, mentioning the exact opposite kind of what you were talking about, Birmingham Bowl and bad weather. South Carolina played at Hawaii. Had no idea about this. It was a little bit before my time. 2 times. The year I was born in 1977, and then a few years later in 1981. And Bill says certainly remembers the trip fondly. The games not so much. 24-7 and 33-10 losses for Gamecock football at Hawaii in 1977 and 1981. What trip sticks out in your mind, most notably growing up? That's what we're asking you this morning. Again, 803-404-6100. Good contribution already from T-Ray. Says it's a toss-up for me. My first game I saw at the Big House in Ann Arbor, or 2002 Bethpage Black, Tiger Woods, U.S. Open. Well done, T-Ray, combining our football and golf theme this morning for the PGA Championship, teeing off at Kiowa in a couple of days. You're listening to the early game. We kick off the second half of the show coming up next here on 107.5 The Game.
Oh boy, I don't know if you have seen the weather lately coming down the pipe about a week and a half away. We're talking getting into the 90s, maybe close to 100. Hope your heating and air unit is working. Maybe not so much the heating portion, but the air conditioning portion. You're going to want that working. You need to give the great folks at AAA Heating and Air a call today. If you've got an issue, they will come repair it. They'll take care of you. Roy and Dana Finley it's a family-run business. They will treat you like family. They care about their customers. They care about making sure that you and your family are comfortable. Find out for yourself. Give them a phone call today. 803-677-1500. You hear me talk about it all the time. Having someone that you trust that treats you like family is important when I try and have things like my air conditioning unit worked on, because I don't know anything about it. I can't get out there with a hammer and bang on it and figure it out. I need somebody that will come out, that will kind of explain things, but most importantly, they'll get it fixed. They'll do it because they care about me, because they want my kids, my family to be comfortable. That's exactly what Roy, Dana, the folks at AAA Heating and Air will do. Give them a phone call today, 803-677-1500. Again, that's 803-677-1500. Temperatures are heating up. You need that air conditioner working for you. If you got an issue, give AAA Heating and Air a call, 803-677-1500.
I got to go back and look up some of these pretty good ones coming in.
You talking about games or
Yeah.
trips? Yeah, Lane Stadium, Jan, I agree. Lane Stadium, Tim, you said you went there. That's definitely on the top of my list. And Sonny, I forget, I took a trip to Nashville. Nashville's definitely not necessarily, I don't know, so many things about going to the Nashville trip that make it one of the most fun trips you can take in the SEC, from the town to.
That's it. What was your second one? You said so many things. What's the second one besides
No. Well, Patrick, when we've gone, we stay. There's a Holiday Inn right next to the stadium.
Okay.
And so, Friday, you go up Thursday or Friday, whatever, and you do Nashville, you go down there and hit the bars, and then the tailgate spot, you park your car out back, and you don't have to drive anywhere. You get up, just go down, pop up your tent, your cornhole boards. Tim's dad and I tailgated out back. You never have to move. You really can park your car in that parking lot and never move your car all weekend. And then you walk right across the street to the road. And then the third thing is, usually, what do you think? 9 times out of 10, when you go there, you're going to leave happy because you get a victory.
Yeah, that stadium stinks. I've been there. I've been to 2 Vanderbilt games, and they're both 11 a.m. kicks, and I just didn't tailgate. I was so
The stadium.
I basically just rolled into the game.
But I'll say this: the nicest stadium I've been to was Texas A&M, and we got beat 30-6. And I can't tell you that being in a nice stadium made it feel any better.
I bet it did.
No, I promise you didn't. I had a fun tailgate, but no, it was.
Yeah, but
I didn't walk out of Texas A&M 2 years ago going, huh?
No, you
I'm
didn't
okay
walk
with
out.
that loss because the stadium was their stadium is really, really unique. Like,
Not
really.
how you walk out, but it's that awe-inspiring moment when you walk in and experience the stadium at the beginning.
Yeah. You are right. I guess one of the more unique things about Vanderbilt was the one time I walked into their basketball, because you can walk up the little ramp and go use their basketball gym for one of the bathrooms, I think. I remember walking in there and going into Memorial Gymnasium and just seeing what it actually looked like because I've never been up there for a basketball game.
You guys see the 7:22 a.m. text?
Yeah, the paint dry.
Did you read all this text?
Yeah, just read them all.
Like,
I'm
good Lord.
laughing because I just saw the one before that. Let's see what else we got.
Oh, they're all of them.
There's only 7 texts. They're all the same.
And of course, Heath has responded.
Of course he has.
Well, Heath was just answering a question.
Wow. Poor guy.
I really do want to respond to people, though. It really is hard sometimes. Like the person that said, like, I don't know if he's trying to be polite or just being a pompous. Patrick, please cut down on the use of the word like in your vocabulary. I just want to respond no. Which is simple, no.
No, you should say like no.
Like no, dude.
Oh man.
Jen, I got up and went to go get coffee. I forgot we were going to cut something in between that 6 and 7 o'clock hour. I will try to not forget this hour. Tim, I know you say it's sweating without working, but I was back in that sauna yesterday. Felt great.
Attaboy. Sweating without
Again.
good time.
That's right.
Guys are up. Yeah, we'll cut those at the top of the hour.
See, now this is what I'm talking about. Ford hits us up asking you road trip memories that stick out in your mind. And this is coming from North Carolina being added to the South Carolina college football schedule, 28-29. So 28, the game would be in Columbia, 29
What's your name?
in Chapel Hill. I'm thinking this might be,
Good. How are you doing?
let's see, I'm trying to do the math. This is very difficult for me. Wow. So my 1-year-old now
I think,
will be 9 years old
I think that's a lovely
that year
one.
that the Gamecocks play in 29 in Chapel Hill. Maybe that'll be one of the first road trips that he remembers. Who knows? When you
Phil
get these
Longo
games,
versus
I love that.
Shane Beamer.
I know.
who knows who the head coaches
good.
will be at
All
that
right,
point,
well,
the way
hang on.
college football is going these days. But one of my first memories was kind of like Shane Beamer, kind of flipped because I went to South Carolina games growing up. So I remember going to Virginia Tech, that 86 and 88 and 90, where the home series was going on. He says one of his first experience at Williams-Brice was that the same time period where Virginia Tech was coming to South Carolina. So asking you some notable or the notable trip maybe of your growing up years that really sticks out for you. On the Cool Care Heating and Air text line, 803-404-6100. Ford says, 2011, Athens, Georgia. My 3 buddies went to Georgia. They lived on campus after the game, drank Fireball, did Spurrier impressions till Sunday afternoon. My man, and so forth. Nothing to do with football at all, but that's what sticks out to him. Ken says, my father was a Gamecock fan. I remember going to the NC State game in Raleigh that ended in controversy with the time clock operator not starting the clock in 86 or 87. Also, the trip to the old Orange Bowl to play Miami in 87 or 88. That's good stuff there, Ken. Don hits us up. Lou Holtz's first game at NC State. Tropical storm rain. Actually, it was hurricane. Lou looked like a wet puppy, he says. Phillip Rivers showed he was good. That got me thinking, Bill. I had to go look at these things up because I was at that game. I was dumb enough to be wearing a T-shirt and shorts.
Yeah,
It's a smart move in a hurricane. But I was like, I don't remember Phillip Rivers playing in that game. That's because he did. I went back and looked it up. And there was 96 yards of total offense from NC State. Phillip Rivers was a freshman the next year. I'm not trying to pick on Don there. I'm just saying, like, that's how memories are, right? You get it all confused in your head, and you convince yourself you absolutely saw one thing when, nope, that didn't happen at all. But, yeah, that game is very memorable to a lot of people. Jesse says went to the NC State game as well during Hurricane Floyd, which we sat through the entire game wet to make things worse. The bus driver on the way home turned on the air conditioner on the way back to Columbia. It was a miserable ride home.
No.
Yeah, several people, someone else I think hitting us up a little bit earlier. I think that was Sonny maybe saying that he went there and never got out of the car. That was the smart move, I think. No, it was Craig. It never got out of the car, just listened to it on the radio. I remember that's what I think my mom and sister did. And they were smart enough not to go out and sit in the rain. And yeah, that was a rough. That's part of it, right, Bill? The weather that day, the pregame or postgame festivities, I think probably stick out to most of us, or stick with most of us more than the actual football. If it was one of the first memories, especially.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think there's a lot that goes. That's why road trips are for me. They've always been so much fun. Is because especially as you get older, and maybe your college buddies move off, and you try to plan one road game. We used to do that all the time, and now a buddy of mine down in Tampa, they just had a baby, and obviously I've got 2 kids, and so it becomes a little bit more difficult just to get away for a weekend. But yeah, taking those road trips. I mean. Again, I've taken plenty to Tennessee. I've been to Alabama a couple times. Florida is always an interesting trip. Georgia is one that I can kind of agree as I get older. I'm not sure how safe it is at times over there. So those types of road trips are always a lot of fun. And there's, as you were just mentioning, certain things about them. Again, that's why we talk about the Birmingham trip. I remember Clemson going to Boise, Idaho back in 98 or 99 and playing like Louisiana Tech, and some of my at the time my friends went there, and they were like, that was an experience in of itself, just going out to Boise, Idaho, and seeing Clemson on the blue turf. And so it kind of works all the way around for just going and seeing your football team. I do wonder, we were laughing a few months ago, and it got canceled. And I've got to go back and look. What was the Big Ten? What was the Big Ten game that we were going to send over to Ireland to start the season? It was Illinois, and was it Nebraska?
Notre Dame, right? I thought Notre Dame was.
No, it wasn't Notre Dame.
Notre Dame Navy, right?
Notre Dame, Georgia Tech played, I think, the year before, and this year, you're right, Bill. It was Nebraska and Illinois. I think that ended up getting canceled.
Notre Dame Navy got moved to Annapolis, didn't it?
Yeah, it got moved this year, and I think they ended up not even playing the game, but they were scheduled to play it, and then obviously with everything that happened, it ended up being canceled. But I think we were going to force the great folks of Ireland to watch a thriller between Nebraska and Illinois. But that is a question, like if South Carolina or Clemson played in Ireland, and let's not even say they played a marquee game. People would try and go just because of the actual trip, right?
For sure.
People would get all fired up.
It would be planned a decade ahead of time, and people would be moving things around just to make sure that they could save up and make that trip.
Yeah, I'm with you.
We need to make the move to the Love Chevy phone lines. I see our buddy Gamecock great Trey Dyson wants to weigh in on a notable trip back in the day, maybe. Hey Trey, how the heck are you?
My boys, how are y'all?
We're doing great,
What's
man.
going on?
Good. I just wanted to call in and say hello to you guys. I'm in the area and heading back to Greenville right now, but I had to call in.
Well, then you got to tell us about a notable trip from back in the day that you took.
This is kind of embarrassing. This is kind of embarrassing because I did not really go on a real game. I was much older in life. I'm not sure if you guys remember this, but we come from very blue collar. I come from a very blue collar background. Okay.
Okay.
So we weren't able to go on trips and stuff like you guys. But the first trip that I went to was, I'm going to call this a trip because it was a trip for me when I was a really young kid, to the old Carolina Coliseum. No, it wasn't a road game. It was a home game. But my first ever basketball experience or Gamecock experience was either 86 or 87, 6 or 7 years old, when the Gamecocks played, I swear it was Louisville, and it was when there was a fight that erupted in overtime, I believe. And Tim, do you know which game I'm talking about?
Yeah, I think this is the years of Purvis Ellison and Louisville going on to win a national championship, the old Metro Conference games.
Yes, it was a crazy experience, and one that, when I saw the Gamecocks up there roughing around, mixing it up with Louisville, I knew I was in the right city. So That was really my first experience as a Gamecock, and I don't know if it shaped or scarred me, but it was certainly a good time.
Trey Dyson, now assistant coach for Landon Powell and company in North Greenville. You guys are going to host a regional game here soon. Is that coming up? Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. We finished our conference tournament 2 weeks ago, and we secured a host regional spot for the 27th of May. So we haven't had a game in 2 weeks, and a lot of this is COVID related, where the teams out west and stuff started later because of COVID restrictions and so on and so forth. So we've been basically just practicing over the past couple weeks, waiting for the 27th to roll around. So we had a great season. Kind of strange the way this regional thing is working out, but we're happy that we're in one, and we're even more happy that we're hosting one.
We're happy that you called in this morning, sir. Division II baseball dominator, assistant coach in North Greenville, Trey Dyson. And that was 1988, by the way, I believe, Trey. Looked it up, double overtime game with Louisville at the Carolina Coliseum.
That was the one that, yeah, as you mentioned, the big fight. South Carolina had some, like, insurmountable lead with, like, I don't know, 7 seconds to go, and then a fight broke out, and Louisville got, like, 22 technical foul shots and tied the game.
Yeah.
And the fan came down and slapped Purvis Ellison in the face. Like, it was I guess the famous message board poster, Free Hawk, who he used to brag about it on message boards years ago, came out of nowhere and smacked Purvis Ellison, and just a whole brawl. Weird game. By the way, Trey, Twig says to tell you good morning. He says hello. So your buddy Twig wants to say hello to you.
Well, good morning to him, and good morning to all the fine folks in Columbia. It's a pleasure to be on the airwaves with you guys, and I hope to get to see you guys sometime soon.
All right, and you guys,
Amazing.
You guys keep winning on the Division II baseball playoffs, and then we'll have you on. You can tell us about the trip to the World Series there.
That would be great. That would be great. We hope that we play well, and we hope that we represent. We're North Greenville all the way, but we got a lot of South Carolina roots up there, so we're representing more than just ourselves up there.
Okay,
or just North Greenville. So.
Gamecock great Trey Dyson, ladies and gentlemen. Great to hear from you. We see you lined up on the Love Chevy phone lines as well, telling your stories of notable road trips back in the day, now that North Carolina has been added to home schedule of the Gamecocks in 2028, 2029. You're listening to the early game here. It's 107.5 The Game.
107.5 The Game. The game is on the air, online.
Good to hear from Trey, an old buddy. Knew Trey way before kids and the family and the whole thing. Well, that has kind of taken over my world these days in a lot of different ways. And the 1-year-old that I have has really taken over the world, and it's kind of dominated around my house. Fortunately, we have some professional help when it comes to keeping things in order. I recommend you get these guys out to your house as well. Zero Res Carpet and Air Duct Cleaning. Man, they have done a great job, giving us great results at our house. A couple of times they've been out cleaning our carpets, cleaning an area rug for us, freshening up the tiles in both the kitchen and the bathroom. And we need as much help as we can get these days. Extra messes with the 1-year-old, the 6 and the 8-year-old, not exactly the neatest dudes out there either. But the way that Zero Res cleans is really what's important to my family right now. No harsh chemicals involved in the process. It's a patented powered water deal. You can check out all the details at ZeroResColumbia.com, where you can book your appointment today. You can also give them a call at 803-262-4020. They've got a great deal for you as well. 3 rooms of carpet cleaned, only $119 plus a free hallway when you mention me, Tim Hill. ZeroResColumbia.com, 803-262-4020. It's Zero Res. You can spell it backwards or forwards. It's the right way to clean. Oh, good to hear from Trey, huh? That was classic. He's like, yeah, I really don't have any stories.
Yeah, just want to call in.
See what else we got here on the comments.
You can get high-quality auto insurance from Allstate at a new low rate with Allstate.
I was a little disappointed we didn't get a good morning, Columbia.
Right.
He seemed a little more sedate.
7:50 in the morning will do that to you.
Yeah, well, he used to be here in studio.
It's true. He's an in-person energy kind of guy. Not as much on.
Right. Is that what it is?
Oh.
Now that is a great little story right there from Craig. A classic college football story.
Oh, jeez.
Spoken to the rest of the.
That is great.
Kevin, I'll be like now. If you like that, if you like a baseball trip, I'll tell you one of the most fun events to really go to is, and I bet I've never been to Hoover for the baseball tournament, but I'll tell you what, the SEC basketball tournament with the fan bases coming together, and that's always been one of my favorites to go to. I hate this year, Tim. You know where we were supposed to be for SEC Media Day? You know where we were supposed to be?
Was it going to be Nashville?
It was going to be Nashville. Lord knows if I'd have been able to make it for our morning shows. That might have been a complete show.
I think Hoover will serve you better.
I'm reading Justin Thomas's. Yesterday he had that 20-yard par 3. He said he hit a cut 4-iron into the water. But yeah, if the SEC Media Day had been in Nashville this year, oh boy.
Your commitment to your job might have been lacking.
I'd have been there for y'all every morning with an update on how the night went.
That would have been all we would have gotten out of it. The quality would have been quite lacking. Yeah.
Birmingham doesn't offer quite the same kind of nightlife. But everybody does know when the wolf pack of Heath Klein, Jay Phillips, and Bill Gunner roll into a town, that town is in some serious trouble.
Hide the women and children.
Yeah.
There ain't enough sweet tea in that town to hold Heath down.
I'm about to head back in.
Twig, I was just watching that. I'm what? How about Tony Finau? He's a good pick. Let's see. Well, he's missed 3 missed cuts in the last 5 PGA Tour starts, but 9 career top 10s in majors.
He'll never win a major.
There's a hot take.
No, he's cursed. He's been too close too many times. It's just not going to happen for him. He's got a curse on him.
The Finau curse.
Yes, right.
Early leader in the clubhouse this morning for best road trips early on in life. Craig mentioned the 84 Gator Bowl earlier. Oklahoma State is who beat South Carolina in that one. He says, when we arrived at the Gator Bowl, my cousin opened the double doors on the back of the van that we traveled down in. Every bottle of liquor the adults brought hit the ground and broke. I don't think he was spoken to the rest of the trip. That football road trip, especially when you're a kid, I imagine that would stick with Craig pretty good there. 803-404-6100. Cool text line. Clinton, Carolina and Auburn, 1996. I remember tailgating. Gamecock fans, a bunch of us were directed to a cow pasture.
Yep.
There were no porta-johns or restrooms. So in true Auburn fashion, hundreds of us Gamecock fans had to go to a livestock barn, ladies in one stall, guys in the other. What an experience, Clinton says.
Had to or got to?
Probably had to. I mean,
the girls had to.
Had to. I think I know what he's talking about. There is a big like field pasture out behind behind one of the end zones. I remember when I went in 2005, we go and we were tailgating with a bunch of Carolina fans, and the craziest thing I've ever seen. That was a big dude, 6'3", 6'4", solid 250, 260, wearing a medium Marius Petrovich, whatever, Carolina Garnet basketball jersey. I was like, how do you even acquire one of those? Where did that? What? Clearly, Marius didn't wear that one. And then South Carolina got bludgeoned 48-7.
How about Travis on the other end of that one? My first road game as a kid was at Georgia. Brandon Bennett going over the top on my birthday. Travis just cash out at that point, right? Doesn't get much better. Impressive. That's a heck of a start. Interesting note from Kevin as well. He says, as much as I love football road trips, baseball trips are even better in my opinion. Instead of going into a college town for a day, you're there 3 to 4 days. You just get a better feel for each school, good or bad.
Who said you have to be there for a day on a football trip?
Good point. Now we're 3. Go. You guys gonna work here?
Yep.
All right, we'll boot you. So then what's the ideal length of a football trip, sir?
The ideal length would be, as long as you can get, but mine was always get out probably early, depending on how far it is, early on, maybe after class on Thursday or something like that, so you can get a Thursday night out and a Friday night out and Saturday. But as long as you gotta get Friday night on the town, and then the game, and then the post game, and then you can hit the road Sunday. That's fine.
See, I think you gotta time it out well to where it's not too long. You're not overstaying your welcome. You pop in there, but you don't want to feel rushed either. You want to feel like you got.
What's that supposed to mean?
I think he's just giving you a compliment.
No, not with all those dots. But you go to 3 to 4 days for a baseball trip. Why don't you just go to a football trip, and then you actually see the town? If you go to 3 baseball games in a weekend, how much of the town are you seeing? You're spending
a ton.
12
There's
hours
of down. There's a lot of downtime in between there. A lot of meals.
Yeah.
Good. I mean, you're only talking about 4 hours max, probably. Well, the way baseball games are going these days, maybe 5 hours. Which hole was Twig talking about there?
I don't know.
I guess the one that Bill mentioned. Trying to go back and find some more of these. No, we're good. We're good. All right. Didn't skip to me. Yeah, Starkville and Oxford are no good for football trips, just from being able to stay for a while. The accommodations usually, there are just not many hotels.
Oh, yeah. I guess not. Oxford, I had a
17. Thank you, Steve.
If you're in college and know people at the colleges, it never matters.
Right. That's the way to do it for sure. Yeah, my cousin went to law school at Alabama. So that game in, what was it, 04, I think? The last time South Carolina beat Alabama at Alabama, or the only time they've won at Alabama, went and slept on her floor.
I stayed in a fraternity house at Ole Miss, a fraternity house at Alabama, a sorority house at Auburn, a fraternity house in Tennessee. Staying in the Greek Village is like the perfect spot for any college trip. The only one that we had to stay in an Airbnb, actually we had to stay in an Airbnb in Knoxville, and that wasn't ideal.
See, I wasn't a fraternity guy. My college roommate was, and the plan going to Florida was we would stay at the fraternity house, but he never made it happen. We ended up sleeping in our car the night before and watching our roommate play the next day. He was a walk-on. He actually got on the field. I think it was the first time ever, like kickoff, maybe punt return or something. It's great. But a relatively close game that year. I want to say that was 99, 98.
Well, I think we had a group of like 10 or 15 people, and like at any given time, one guy knew someone at one school. So it was like one
Nice.
kid would say, "Hey, I have a friend at Ole Miss. We can all stay there," but like everyone had to basically contribute one road trip, like basically inconvenience their friend one time on behalf of the group, and it worked out pretty well that way.
Nice work, York. 83 student days down to Tallahassee, huh? Good for you. I've never actually been on the campus down there. My wife went to school there, but I didn't know her then. You haven't been to a game of Florida State, have you, Patrick?
No, I've actually really not been to Florida much. I've been to Disney World and went to a lacrosse trip there, and that's the only times I've actually. Oh, and Tampa for the Bucks game when I was a kid. Never been to Tallahassee. Never been to Miami. I would like to go to a Little Rock. Never mind. I would like to go to an Arkansas game.
Yeah, I've been in that stadium too, Jan, except you might have been in that one too. What was that, 99? Brutal. I think it was 35-0 at half, maybe 42-0 at half. Just an absolute whooping.
Wait, War Memorial Stadium?
Yeah, so they only play one game a year there. They typically play in Fayetteville, right? But I think they still do the one game a year there. I know they used to anyway.
No rhyme or reason. They just play one game there.
Just been their tradition.
Huh.
Fayetteville's kind of in the mountains, kind of tucked away. So I think this helps some people get to at least one game a year in Arkansas.
Sure. I want to go to a game in Fayetteville because it's just one of those, like,
Yeah,
I
me
don't
too.
want to be there for too long, but, like, when there's just one school in the state and everyone there is an Arkansas fan and, like, their giant pig and doing their Woo Pig Suey thing, like, that just seems like it'd be cool to see.
Probably wouldn't share on the air is the Indy 500. And there were like two fixtures there for several years when I was a kid, like, 7, 8, 9. The one guy with like this really long mustache, they like curled out and stuff like that, But then there was also the woman who walked around where it was like she was very well endowed and shared that with the crowd. But like people looked for her, like she just wandered around. It was like those weird things that, sadly you remember.
That'll burn in the brain.
Wow. All right, guys are up.
Guess the Gamecock version of that was what we heard from Gamecock great Trey Dyson, one of his notable memories. The road trip all the way to the Carolina Coliseum from Mountain Spring Valley area. 1988, Louisville and South Carolina fight breaks out in basketball. I wouldn't have guessed that Jan would hit us up with the 2004 memory of Carolina at Arkansas, Phil Petty versus Matt Jones. Now, wait a second. That math doesn't work out.
No,
right?
it doesn't.
Phil Petty did not play in 2004.
Jan is a couple things are wrong with that. South Carolina played Arkansas back then in even years at Williams-Brice. 2004 was a very ugly, I think 23-0. No, 2004 was South Carolina coming back and winning the ballgame. That was Holtz's last year, and Matt Jones had a chance at the very end. But I'm trying to think. I think it was Savell Newton. If Savell's out there and listening, maybe he can remember. But I think Savell completed a pass to Troy Williamson down there away from the student section, whichever, down there close to where the Gamecocks come out of the tunnel, and Williamson broke free and scampered into the end zone, and then Matt Jones got the ball back and had a chance there to win it, but it was 35-32. That was 2004, and I'm pretty sure that was Savell. So if Savell's out there, maybe he can weigh in and remember that game. 2001 is probably what Jan is referring to when South Carolina was, I believe, undefeated, Tim, and went to Arkansas, and they were number 9 or number 10 in the country, and lost at War Memorial Stadium. It was a CBS game at 3:30. and lost at War Memorial Stadium 10-7. I think there was a Daniel. Why do I want to say, was it Daniel Weaver? I believe had a kick blocked at the end or something that would have tied it to something like that. But that was 2001, and that would have been the Phil Petty game, but not 2004.
Now Corey Jenkins was the quarterback even in that year that you're talking about.
Well, he had a touchdown. I think it was
a series at least, right?
Yeah, he came in, but I think it was Pinnock. I think Pinnock had a big touchdown run early, but South Bend ended up losing that game 10-7. And again, I want to say it was Weaver had a kick blocked late, but I believe it was 0-1 is what Jan is thinking about, because 2004 is when South Carolina won, and then we broke out the bowl bound again flags only for a few weeks, because then there was the brawl with Clemson and no bowl game.
Kevin hits us back up, says the only trip to Arkansas he took was the year Peyton Hillis, Darren McFadden, Felix Jones ran for 400. Offense was on fire, but our defense couldn't stop a nosebleed. Haven't been back to Fayetteville since. And yeah, Jan says 2001 back then. That's the thing about these stories and these memories, and they're coming up. We're bringing them up today, top of mind, because South Carolina and North Carolina now on the schedule for 2028 and 2029, a home-and-home series. And I don't know if you talk to anybody in college football now who would argue for the neutral site games over the games on campus, especially coming off of last year where no one got the full college football experience. I think it's safe to say.
Let me just real quick, it is funny how we remember games. And I only say this because I was going back and reading the text line from about 20 minutes ago where Don responded, and Don sent in earlier about Philip Rivers showed he was good in the tropical storm game, and you say, well, no, Rivers was a freshman the next year. And it's funny how our memory just changes over the years, because then you got Jan go, oh, Arkansas, 2004, Phil Petty. Like, it's 20 years ago. It's hard to remember, right? Like it is, Sure. It is hard, but it is funny how these stories evolve over time. Like, just even for me, like going back and I'm trying to remember like a great road victory. I was in Gainesville, Tim, for when South Carolina clinched the East, but that was a blowout. I'm trying to go back into the early 2000s and like remember a game that I went to that was a huge road victory for South Carolina, where I'd be like, yeah, it was old Terry Bishop out there playing quarterback and running around and throw somebody's name in there that was 10 years earlier or whatever. But it is funny how we remember games like that and certain players.
No doubt. But I'm trying to get some of your memories in here. Kaki Kadra is like Bill W. who hit us up earlier. He says he went to that Carolina-Hawaii game in Hawaii in 1981 at Aloha Stadium. Football didn't go well. I'm hoping the trip went better for those of you that made it instead of the results. Jacob says 2001 Outback Bowl parades before the game were amazing, and the game was great. A much different experience than anonymous texter says 2000 Outback Bowl, Ybor City, New Year's Eve, night before. Woke up an hour before kickoff, made the game as the sky dive landing. So hungover I can barely hold water down. I understand how that goes. Clinton already hit us up about the story of using the facilities in a cow pasture out at Auburn, where it was men on one side, women on the other. Trent hits us up with a trip down to Gainesville when Spurrier was coaching the Gators. Rex Grossman was playing quarterback, he says. Gamecocks blocked some punts, went up 21, and the Gators rolled us. Oh, and some flood and squirted mustard on my grandmother's and my backs. That last part definitely will cause you to remember it. Yeah, I'm not sure. I was going to go back and look that up. Rex Grossman, I wanted to double check that he was the quarterback then and what year that was specifically. I want to say that was 97-ish.
Wait, which game?
Gamecocks got up on.
That was 2000.
Company. That was 2000.
That was 2000. That was Holtz's. That was South Carolina, because 2001, Florida came to Williams-Brice Stadium, and that was game day was here. That was the first time game day ever came, and that was the blackout game, and the really good punt returner for Florida, 2001, fumbled down around the goal line. South kind of pounced on it, and Derek Watson ran it in in the end zone right there in front of the Florida fans. That was one of the loudest I've ever heard Williams-Brice Stadium. It was going nuts. And then it went downhill. And then after the game, Spurrier thanked the Gamecock fans for wearing all black so they could see the football better. And the one funny, and this goes back to just memories you have about football games, what I'm about to say. Like, I was in college. And at that time, that was, you get the really late ESPN kickoff game. Patrick, I don't know if you can relate to this now because you were talking off air about you and your buddies. And you get the really late, like 7:45 primetime ESPN kickoff game. And South Carolina obviously had not been good enough to get many of those through the years. I think in 2000, we played all noon games. And so this is 2001. And I remember tailgating. We started tailgating early because game day was there. Then we went back to our house. I was in college at the time. We went back to our house and everything. And I remember coming back out, we started tailgating. And I think everybody, if you tailgate enough, you kind of figure out how to pace yourself so you walk into the stadium in just the right kind of wherever you want to be. And I remember looking at my watch thinking, we've got another hour until the game. I got to keep tailgating for another 45 minutes before we even go to the stadium. This is crazy. And like I said, we went in and Florida fumbled the punt there on like the opening series, and Watson ran it in, and it was crazy. And then it got out of hand as I think Florida took a huge lead into halftime and walloped South Carolina.
Robert says he remembers that 2000 game when Carolina jumped out to a 21-3 lead, then the wheels fell off. Says the road trip was with a bunch of buddies, rented a house on Fernandina Beach, RV and sliders on the beach. It was criminal. Hello. Robert is this morning. Hot Sauce Ross says, I made it to the 2001 Outback Bowl in the fourth quarter after getting lost, walking back to my hotel room after a long New Year's Eve the night before. Right when I walked in, Ohio State started scoring. Everyone turned around and told me to leave. Thank goodness for Daniel Weaver's game-winning kick. And someone else hit us up a little bit earlier about that one as well, said they were in the stands for that one and couldn't quite tell if the kick went in or not. Yeah, that's what I remember about that 2001 game, being on the other side of the stadium, not being able to tell that it went in until the cheer goes up, and the kind of disaster was avoided with that Ohio State comeback. Bill, were you at that one?
I went in 2000. I didn't go in 2001. I didn't go back in 2001. I had done the Outback Bowl thing. So I saw the Ryan Brewer game. I didn't see the other one.
How about Alan G hits us up on the YouTube live stream? By the way, that video live stream sponsored by Buford Lending this morning. Alan says, best road trip, South Carolina, LSU, 1994 in Tiger Stadium. Mike the Tiger taking a swing as our players ran out of the tunnel from his circus cage. Carolina won the game 18-17 and got invited. Alan says he got invited by LSU fans to tailgate afterwards. So all the Gamecock fans who have had horror stories down at LSU, sounds like Alan was not one of those. And yeah, that was Steven who mentioned that he was also out that 2001 Outback Bowl game up in the nosebleeds and couldn't tell if the Daniel Weaver kick went in or not. And then he got to celebrate the sweet victory against Ohio State. 803-404-6100, the number into the program. Love to hear some of your thoughts. Surprised we haven't heard. I know it's a much different kind of trip, but remember going out to Omaha for the first time. My first trip out to Omaha was 2003, the second year that Carolina had been there, and there were plenty of Gamecock fans that had made the trip, some that had driven out there and had gone out for the first time. And man, if you've never done the College World Series, I would highly encourage you, because I think it was Kevin who hit us up talking about how baseball road trips are better than football ones in his experience because you get to spend more time, more than a day there or so. And when you get the double elimination College World Series experience out there, if you can make that trip, there's so many different games you can go to. And Bill, you were talking about the SEC basketball tournament where the come in. This one is kind of just like that expanded nationally, where you get different fan bases. You got 8 different fan bases in Omaha that time of year where the city really embraces the event. It is it's a pretty significant experience for sure, pretty memorable one in a lot of different ways. I would recommend it highly. And we were talking about it, I think, on the video stream. You weren't part of the conversation, Bill. What is the ideal football road trip there? Because Patrick's saying you don't have to just do it in a day. I think there is a window of time that is kind of the sweet spot in football road trips in my experience. You don't want to be there too long, but you don't want to feel like the rush just popped out a lot of times.
No, we did this. Patrick and I did this, I think, last year when you were off one week. And Patrick, you and I like came up with maybe the absolute best road trips. And I think like one of them.
Well, we were combining.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Towns and sports. But this discussion was
just.
He said that you can spend 3 to 4 days and really get to like soak up the college town and understand everything. And I was like, why do you need to limit your football trip to 1 day? Why can't you just make it 3 to 4 days?
Having done and I'm weird about stuff. I do like going and seeing other campuses and walking around. To me, getting in on a Thursday night, going up on a Thursday afternoon, getting in on a Thursday night, taking Friday to actually walk around the campus and kind of see the architecture and just the layout of a campus, or just different things about it. Maybe experience the town a little bit, find a place. I think there's always a great place to eat, like a local hangout. I think, what is it? And I'm trying to remember. It's been a long time since I've been to Starkville, but I want to say it's like in Starkville. I believe it's like Little Dewey's is the great barbecue place. I think that's in Starkville. It's been a long time, but you go to Auburn. They had a good little restaurant we went to, like a little local kind of college place. I think you do that on Friday, and then Saturday you do the game, you experience the tailgate, and then you come home Sunday. So to me, 2 full days, a Friday and a Saturday is the perfect road trip. Getting up there late on a Thursday night, coming back on a Sunday.
04 trip to Vandy to open the season.
I was there for that.
Up with great trip and good win, and that was Pinkins kind of taking over, and Carolina absolutely dominated that day. I think
that was
Jay Cutler, the quarterback.
Jay Cutler was quarterback. Jamaica Jackson had I think an interception and touchdown return. South Carolina broke out the black helmets there that day, wore the black jerseys, and that was a fun day. There was an 11 a.m. kickoff. That was the nooner, and noon Eastern time, an 11 a.m. kickoff, which made for an interesting Saturday morning.
Well, that's a tough one too. If you're planning on the drive to Nashville, that's the one that you really got to time out pretty good. That's when I realized the drive to Nashville a little longer than I had anticipated, or it felt a lot longer than I had hoped it would feel. Maybe it was because of doing high school football on Friday night, then hopping in the car and trying to make that kickoff. That was a long road trip, but at least worth the payoff was there from the performance on the field. That's all part of the experience. Part of what we're discussing today. Sammy, from the Clemson perspective on the Cool Care Heating and Air text line, Athens, 2002, Georgia beat Clemson close, I think he says. 8 of us killed a keg that day. It got fuzzy. Good times. Well done, Sammy. Appreciate the contributions. 803-404-6100. Someone just texted us and said, is this the text line? Yes, it is. You can also call us on the Love Chevy phone lines to contribute to the program as well. Today, going to talk a little PGA Championship, a couple of days ahead of it, teeing off down at Kiowa Island. Power rankings to get to. If you haven't heard those, you might want to take note of who at least the PGA Tour, the PGAtour.com, thinks might be some of the favorites going into this thing. Bill, maybe you can give us some of the Vegas favorites going in, as well as we prepare to give you our picks tomorrow ahead of this thing. And looking forward to the major championship and one of, if not the best years of golf for the state of South Carolina, with another PGA Tour event happening down at Congaree Golf Club coming up a little bit later on this season. Again, the number 404-6100. If you would like to join the show, it's the early game on 107.5 The Game. Man, talking about timing these days, you guys probably know as well as anybody else, the housing market is a bit nutty right now. Great time to look into your options. That's what I've been doing lately, and a great to do that with Beaufort Lending. Give them a call, 843-524-2404. Benji Getsy's been running this thing for almost 25 years, plenty of experience, and he knows you probably already have a relationship with another lender that you worked with in the past. He's not telling you to forget about that, and he will absolutely be your guy now necessarily. Just asking for a chance to have the conversation, because whether you're looking into refinancing, maybe you're like me and you're looking into your options and expanding, getting a little bigger house, a little bit more room for a growing family, or you are a veteran and you're looking into a VA loan, something like that. Benji and his team at Buford Lending have the experience. They've been there and done that, and they know how to maximize your opportunities. And the numbers that he showed me, really impressive stuff right now with where the rates are and the timing in the market. So I encourage you to check out Buford Lending as well. Give Benji Getsy and his team a call. Again, the number for Buford Lending, 843-524-2404.
How are they still showing this Geico commercial?
What's that, Bill?
This isn't it the Geico? This guy lets money. This commercial drives me insane. Allstate. I'm sorry, it's an Allstate. I don't even know what's being promoted.
Interesting, the Carolina-Michigan matchup. I know my dad went to it, I think, in like a few years later, 84-ish, maybe 80, 85, 86, 87, somewhere in there. Uh-oh. Preston said you triggered him, Preston Thor, in the Arkansas game.
Oh, well. Challenge me to played better, we would have won.
So that was his first start because Dennis Quinn was hurt. I got manhandled the whole game by future Hall of Famer Jason Peters and future All-Pro Stacey Andrews. So try not to remember that.
Yeah, I think South Carolina. I think Arkansas scored late to win that game. Good morning, Nathan.
Yeah, Dale, that's kind of how the conversation got started. I remember those games as well. Probably sat somewhere near you. But maybe not if you're in the Virginia Tech student section.
Oxford, Patrick, you didn't like Oxford 2 years ago, did you? You were not a fan.
Oxford?
Yeah.
No, I loved it. I thought they had just had a pathetic showing in the crowd because they were not very good that year. Their student section was horrendous that day. No, but I mean, the Grove was really cool. I think the Grove's a little bit overrated, but it was beautiful and fun, and it was a really good game. That was when Teamu and Bentley were just going back and forth. I think it was like 48-44.
I feel like the Grove is somewhere you have to know somebody to be able to have fun there. Like I don't feel like that's a place you just wander through. Like, hey man, you guys tailgating, huh? I'm gonna wander into your tent and try something.
Not yet.
Yeah, I mean, if that was an 11 a.m. kick, we were pretty hungover going into the day and just kind of rolled in there at like 10 o'clock and just grabbed some food from a tent and hit the game.
So what is the age when you go on a road trip? What is the age where you can't really go into like
college bars?
Yeah.
I'm still wondering that. I don't know.
Like, I'm not going to hit on anybody or pick anybody up. I'm just going to like experience, like kind of like we went to I think it was Dixie Chicken, which was at Texas A&M, which was I think technically their bar scene.
Yeah.
And
It
it was
depends
really
on the
like,
bar. It depends on the bar.
Totally.
Like you can't go into a club.
no, that I agree. Well, I'm not. My clubbing days are way over.
No, but some bars have like that vibe that it's more just like dark lights, loud music, and more of a club vibe. And some of them, if there's like a back patio or a port or balcony or something like that, you're always old enough to stand outside.
That's a good rule. Now I feel like I don't know where we go with that, but in about a month, I feel like that's a show right there with topics for rules for a road trip. What are the rules for a road trip?
Good call.
That's a good one. I like that. If there's a back patio or a porch, that's a good one. I'm gonna stick by that one.
Go road trip guidebook. Is that what you guys are going to get together for us?
Yeah. I agree with that because I need to. I think tickets. I need to see about booking East Carolina.
Have you been to Sky Bar in Auburn? When's the last time you were in Auburn?
I haven't been. It was 05. I didn't go back.
It's the best bar I've ever been in. It's by far the biggest bar I've ever set foot in. I think they market themselves as the biggest bar in the.
I need to go back and see what my because Austin's getting to that age that I need to take, but I feel like I need to ease Austin into going on a road trip. Like I took him to the Belk Bowl, and that was clearly poor on my part. And I feel like I need to take Austin to like the Vanderbilt road trip so he can experience a win. I don't need to take him to like Georgia somewhere where he could have the fandom beaten out of him again. We need to start off small and work our way up.
It's not gonna get beaten out of him. It builds character.
I don't know, man. I'm pretty scarred by a couple of the beatings I've taken in Georgia and LSU.
Yeah, take him to Georgia this year, and then next year, let's see who we got.
He'll be old enough. Those Miami game. And
take him to Georgia this year and Florida next year.
I might at Florida because we know a bunch of the Bull Gators, and they put on this incredible tailgate. Let me see here. I have them opening weekend, Georgia, Troy. I have him Vanderbilt, so I'll take him to Vanderbilt this year. I'll definitely take him to Vanderbilt.
We're going back in.
Actually, he might get to go to he'll get to go to Troy and Vanderbilt. He might get to experience 2 victories.
You guys are up.
What happens on the field is important and memorable typically, but not necessarily what sticks out most in these road trip games that are just kind of burned in your memory one way or another. Bring it up because North Carolina and South Carolina now signed up for a home and home in 28 and 29. Certainly not the only one in the future for Gamecock football, with Virginia Tech, Miami, NC State, all on the list. And it looks like the trend now moving away from some of these neutral site games and doing the home and home, which I think is just the best for fans on both sides of that thing. Whether you're going to the road trip or you're welcoming people in, just the college football environment at the home stadium can't be matched for so many reasons. And we're hearing a bunch of them this morning. And don't get me wrong, bowl games and neutral site games still have their place for sure. For instance, Albert hits us up. AJ says 2002 Outback Bowl after the 2001 season in the upper deck with my brother and grandfather after we went up 28-0 on Ohio State. My grandfather loudly proclaimed to everyone within earshot, "Pack your bags, it's over." Needless to say, the fourth quarter made him regret those words. But Daniel Weaver saved the day. Shout out to my grandfather, AJ says, who passed away several months ago. I know he's still rooting for the Gamecocks from the other side. That kind of coincides with an earlier story about that comeback where somebody, I forget who it was, walked in the fourth quarter, and then everybody blamed him for letting Ohio State come back. Danny Says Jad Dean, wide left in 06, probably the best road trip experience that he's had as a Gamecock fan up at Clemson. He says, I was in college. Everybody I knew, both Clemson and South Carolina, seemed to be up there. In the 2011 Georgia game with the fake punt and the crazy second half, nothing better than traveling to those places and getting a W. Danny says.
I laugh about that 06 Clemson game. I was up there for that, and that was a fun game. That was back and forth, and that was the game. Not to bring up awful memories for Clemson. I can't. Was it Merriweather that was running it down South Carolina's throat at the end of the game? They're marching down the field, and for some reason they went away. Maybe it was either James Davis or Merriweather. I can't. I feel like it was Merriweather.
I think you're right.
They're just running it down South Carolina's throat. But when they missed the field goal, I had gotten to know through a previous trip. I had gotten to know Hutch Eckerson's father, who was like, loved his son. Loved the universe. His father was just totally in. And so his father is on the front row of right behind the bench. And he always had his son's jersey on. It says Eckerson on the back. So you knew who he was. Super nice guy. And Clemson, thank you for allowing people to storm your field, because when they missed the field goal, Hutch's father jumps the wall and runs through the entire team, and is one of the first people to midfield to start celebrating. I think he even smacked Spurrier on the rear end there as he went running by. I just remember that. It's like, that guy's fired up. But that was I remember that game. That was it was 06 up there. Blake Mitchell was really good that day, and that was a fun game. Fun game both sides to be in.
Bunch of you guys weighing in on the memories through the days. Another one from the Gamecocks in the 80s. And this kind of got me thinking, too, about the North Carolina addition to the schedule. And we'll get back into that conversation in just a second. Keith in Camden wanted to mention the South Carolina NC State Black Magic years. Best game ever, he says. Had to stop the game 3 times in the last 2 minutes to get all the oranges off the field. Unbelievable comeback. Another listener had mentioned the Todd Ellis NC State game or 2 back in the day as well. How about this first road trip, the infamous Clemson and Carolina brawl? Anonymous texter hits us up with. And then from the Clemson perspective, another listener weighing in said, went and visited Florida State, stayed at a fraternity house. They were really nice before the game, and then after the game, not so much. That one coming from Troy back in 2006, he said, is when that one happened. How about this one? Driving to the road game at War Memorial in the early 2000s on the way to Arkansas. It's 2 a.m. We're the only car on the road in the middle of Alabama, driving through the worst storm of our lives like a beacon in the night. A WIS-10 news van comes out of nowhere, and we knew all was going to be fine. We ended up losing. Good times there. Good memory for sure. And the first one we've gotten from the College World Series here, 20-hour 2002 road trip to Omaha. First game, Georgia Tech thumped South Carolina. Coming back and beating Clemson twice, only to lose to Texas in the single championship game. The Lowe's 5-gallon buckets used as coolers. The anonymous texter says, no environment like Omaha. Yeah, that detail right there, the 5-gallon buckets used as the coolers, an example of how some of these road trips just stick in your mind a little bit more than others. Patrick, you were pointing out the 2025 schedule for the Gamecocks. Do you want to those non-conference opponents set for the 2025 schedule?
Yeah, I mean, it's the Virginia Tech game, but that's the neutral site game in Atlanta, and then you're going to be in Boone to play App State, and then Coastal will come to Williams-Brice. Then obviously, I think Clemson's it's 25, so Clemson's a home game that year too. So Clemson, Coastal, at App State, and Virginia Tech.
Ooh, quite the slate, quite different from what you're seeing this year for Shane Beamer and company with Eastern Illinois, at East Carolina, home against Troy, and then Clemson as well. Bill, when I saw the news yesterday, a little bit earlier, I think I still have that old kind of independent schedule mindset in my head of South Carolina playing these notable opponents, these brand names like North Carolina or Virginia Tech, NC State, Miami. But I think this might be the kind of the anti-Steve Spurrier approach, isn't it? I don't know if Spurrier was pro playing those games You didn't see a ton of them, especially on the road. I know the home and home series did happen in the Spurrier era and was notable for sure. And you got the neutral site game there against North Carolina, which I'll never forget him coming in and said, yeah, punter was pretty good. He was player of the game. And the only game that Carolina won for a long time there. But how should Gamecock fans think about these games? To me, it's the best sign that we're getting that the college football playoff will expand and programs don't look at these games as elimination games, even if you lose them, I think, because you have a little bit more flexibility in the future with a loss or two, and getting you still into the college football playoff if you win enough. But should we still see these games as absolutely good for college football and good for the program, or should we evolve the way we're thinking about these suckers?
Yeah, I think it's great for college football. I think it's look, part of raising ticket prices is giving people a quality. Certainly, your football team's got to be good too. All right, let's be clear about that. South Carolina right now, I agree with what you're saying. Big picture, when you talk about Georgia playing Texas and Florida State in the same season, playing Ohio State and Clemson plus the SEC schedule in the same season. When you talk about Georgia doing that, that to me is gearing up for an expanded college football playoff, because you're going to be able to point to your strength of schedule. If you have two losses, much like people do in basketball, and say, hey, look, here's why we deserve to be in. Look at who we played, and we went out and challenged ourselves. Now, for South Carolina, I think this is just the evolution of college football. I think the question becomes, what do you want to spend your money on? Do you want to spend, say, $40, $45? I don't know ticket prices for this year off the top of my head, to watch Troy or Charlotte or Georgia State. Liberty comes in a few years. Hopefully Hugh Freeze is gone by then. Is that the game that you want to see? Do you want to see? I think Furman is on the schedule, Charleston Southern, and I say that because those aren't marquee names. Or are you more willing to spend? Let's say it's $45 for one of those tickets. Okay, it's $90 to watch Miami, to watch Virginia Tech, to see North Carolina come to Williams-Brice. We'll see who else they schedule here in the coming years. Look, I love it. I've pointed this out. I like those games against Troy and Georgia State and whoever else, because I'm more comfortable taking my kids, because the crowd's not as intense. It's the environment's not as intense. The daughter's 11, the son is 9. I don't want them exposed, to what the environment is when Georgia, Florida, LSU, Clemson come just yet. They'll get older and I'll feel more comfortable. But I personally prefer seeing the big names come in. And yeah, I think a lot of people, if you did the poll question, what would you rather have, a big name opponent and pay double the ticket price, or a non-Power 5 team and have a cheaper ticket price? Now, I don't think that means you schedule. South Carolina's got 3 non-conference games. I don't think that means you schedule all 3 against Power 5 opponents. But if you're going to have Clemson already on the schedule, having one more Power 5 opponent, a fun opponent, I'm with a lot of people. I'd like to see them go outside of the region here and see a West Virginia or an Oklahoma State or something like that, a little bit different, and go outside the region. Tim, by and large, South Carolina's schedule since going to the SEC has been, we've seen North Carolina State multiple times. We've seen North Carolina. There was a trip to Central Florida. Am I leaving off any other since 92? That's it, right? It's North Carolina State.
Carolina has been pretty consistent.
I meant Power 5. Go Power. I said the trip to Central Florida, but that's the only 2
Power 5 conference.
That's
since I've been here, those are the only 2 you've played.
Huh?
I think since I've been here, those are the only 2 they've played.
Well,
but isn't this theory versus reality, though? If South Carolina schedules a home and home with Oklahoma State, how many fans are going to go out to Stillwater, Oklahoma?
I think a lot of people would. It's a one-time trip. It's one thing to do it if you're doing it every other year, like Texas A&M. But I think you get that one opportunity and you circle that game. There's a lot of people listening that probably have one game circled this year.
Because I want to go to Texas A&M desperately, but I have it in my head like, well, I have every other year. I'll get around to it. But if we were playing in Stillwater in 2023 or something like that, I would say, all right, I'm going to make sure that I get to that game, because when else will I ever go to Stillwater? It'll never happen if South Carolina's not playing there.
And that's a lot. That's kind of like the Miami game. That's why people are already circling that, booking hotel rooms probably. Who knows? It's kind of the same thing with East Carolina. If East Carolina was an every other year thing, I wouldn't care to go this year, but I'd like to go just to experience. That's a road trip.
I'll make an effort to get to Boone in 25.
Yeah, I'm exactly sure. That's why I went to Central Florida. And so, Tim, when you say
that's a regional, that's a relatively easy trip.
Well, but you're talking about what, I don't know, if South Carolina.
Somebody texted in asking to schedule Big 12 and Pac-12 games.
Let's hypothetically say you did schedule Oklahoma State, or let's throw Arizona State in there. It's kind of, I don't know if it's a once in a lifetime thing, because certainly it could happen again, but you're only going to get 10 to 12,000 tickets. 50, I don't know what they're like. Dude, they're going to have, people would have no problem.
You'll certainly price
your 1 year trip.
Yeah, you'll price people out, but if you have all the time to plan, like I can't just decide, hey, I want to fly to this game this weekend. Like I can't afford to just take a flight. Right. But if I had 10 years to plan for it, then okay, that's fine.
He's putting $10 in the bank every month.
Yeah.
How about Damon says, for now, let's get some W's and confidence. Give me Troy and UMass until we get competitive. Can't take another 3-8 seed.
I'd rather spend $40 on wings and beer at a bar than sit in 100 degrees to watch an absolute blowout.
Yeah, but that's not the question about which one you would go see. The question is, what is the smarter one to schedule?
Well, but here.
Well, you need to make money.
The smarter one to schedule is just play 3 FCS opponents if that's your go. I guess you get one FCS victory, but if that's your attitude, but then I think people don't care to see that. And part of this is a revenue aspect of selling tickets to make money, to pay for salaries, to pay for, whatever else you got to pay for with football. I'm with Patrick. If you're playing Troy and Georgia State and Charlotte as your 3 other non-conference games, shoot, just sit home and watch it on television. The atmosphere is not going
to be a lot of people. I do not see myself going to see South Carolina play a non-Power 5 game in person. Like, it's just too much. It's a whole day. You don't get to watch other games. It's too much money. I got to buy a $10 beer in the stadium. Like, all these things when I can just be on my couch comfortably with multiple TVs on. Like, I do think there's so many people that just like the comfort of being at home better than sweating it out in the stadium for a blowout game.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm not saying, again, you're right, Tim, that this is 2 different arguments. One is if you're a season ticket holder. All right, I don't know what they've sold in season tickets this year, 50,000, 45,000, I don't know. If you're a season ticket holder and you're going to be a season ticket holder each and every year, that's who we're asking. If you're a season ticket holder, do you want to pay more for some premium games? Or do you want to pay less for some games, for 3 games that are, as Patrick pointed out, are probably, you hope. I mean, look, I've watched in my lifetime South Carolina lose to the Citadel and App State.
Well, it's like there's no good outcome.
Every game would definitely be a victory.
It's a blowout and it's not a competitive game, or it's a close game and you're furious that was a close game.
How about this recipe then from anonymous texter on the Quick Air Heating and Air text line? 1 Power 5, 1 Group of 5, and 1 Cupcake. Wouldn't that be a fair recipe for how South Carolina football schedules its 3 non-conference games that aren't Clemson? 1 Power 5, 1 Group of 5, 1 Cupcake.
But isn't that? I mean, look at the schedule. Doesn't it appear to be that's what they're doing?
Except when Appalachian State and Coastal Carolina end up finishing in the top 25, right? That's something you can't really account for as you're making the schedule. But that's part of that 2025 kind of conundrum at this point, or what it looks like on paper.
Look, let's not get carried away with Coastal Carolina. That team going into the season was picked like 7th or 8th in their conference. They had a great run this past year. Let's see if Jamie Chadwell keeps it up, and then if he does, let's see if he's still at Coastal Carolina. Appalachian State has been good for a long time through several different coaches.
But 2025 is at least close enough that even if Chadwell takes a head coaching job, like after next year or something like that, there will still be his players there, and they can still kind of ride that momentum.
1-year transfers.
One-year transfer.
One-time transfers
True.
these days. Heath
True.
W. on the Facebook live stream, 2005, being in Knoxville, beating Tennessee, then going to the Knoxville Cracker Barrel Sunday morning. Put it our name as Spurrier. So all the Mad Vols fans had to watch us walk through when they call their names. Their faces were priceless.
Real quick, we'll find out. You look at the schedule the next. You got Clemson, obviously, the next 2 years, but your next 6 non-conference games, your next 6, 2021 and 2022, Eastern Illinois, at East Carolina, Troy, Georgia State, Charlotte, Wofford. That's your next 6. And then you go to 2023 with North Carolina. You throw a Liberty in there. You got a Furman game as well. 2024, you may see another big name pop up. Old Dominion starts the season in Akron. They've got a spot there. And then 2025 is what Patrick. But, you know, for everybody who talks about wins, hey, you get that in the next 2 years with schedules that feature Clemson and 2 FCS opponents, Eastern Illinois and Wofford, and then East Carolina, Troy, Georgia State, and Charlotte.
Yeah, and I think where the program is now, most Gamecock fans taking a deep breath, saying that's exactly what a team that's lost a combined 16 games the last 2 seasons needs. And then you let Shane Beamer get some momentum going, and you can beef up the schedule a little bit. It seems to be about the best you could ask for, I think, in a lot of ways, moving forward for the next few years. Love to hear your final thoughts if you have them. 803-404-6100. Dramatic conclusion of the show. Coming up next, it's the early game here on 107.5 The Game.
The home of the Gamecocks. And
Housing market right now is the place to be, whether you're selling or buying, especially if you're buying, maybe you're thinking about refinancing. Interest rates still very low. It's a golden opportunity, and you need to see what Jacob Crowder, the mortgage guru, can do for you. You need to see about it today because these things may not stay this low for long. Jacob's been helping people save $200, $300, $400 a month. As a matter of fact, he's been helping so many people. He's gone out and added Brian Kovar to the team so they can help even more home buyers or new home buyers or refinance. Give them a phone call today, 803-719-1005. Again, you can also email him the letter J, Crowder, CROWDER at firstpalmetto.com. They're looking to work with local home buyers to make that dream home a reality. Don't miss this opportunity. Give Jacob Crowder a call today. The Mortgage Group, 803-719-1005. That's Jacob Crowder with First Palmetto Bank.
That does sound like terrible matchups to me, Jason. Boston College, Syracuse, Pitt. No thanks.
Boston College would be cool. I'd like to go to Boston College because of everything that you can do. You try to
I'd like
into
to go.
that trip.
I'd like to go to see a game in the Carrier Dome.
Well, Bill, you did have Massachusetts in your top 5 states, having never visited, right?
I think because I think it was because of Boston, basically.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't mind going up there during the summer to check out a beach, whatever.
Nah, don't go to the beach. Go to Fenway.
Oh, well, I want to get to Fenway.
Boston puts Massachusetts in the top 5 states when it's like most known for like Southie and being like one of the worst cities. It is beautiful, the downtown there. I like Boston a lot, but
yeah, I'm not moving up there. I'm visiting up there. I'm hitting a steakhouse, Fenway.
Yeah, but you named it top 5 states.
But what that conversation wasn't where I want to live, was it? It was just where I want to visit.
So it's just the top 5 states you want to go to the most?
What's got a town that I want to go to?
Not how I did it. I mean, like, I want to go to California because I've never been to the West Coast, but I didn't put it in the top 5.
I feel like people, when we have this conversation about the schedule, act like South Carolina's going out and scheduling three other like top 5 teams to go along with Clemson. All we're talking about is scheduling one extra Power 5 team.
You guys going to be okay now that Bob Baffert's been banned from entering horses at Belmont?
It makes it harder to pick a winner.
I don't care about the Belmont because there's not a Triple Crown opportunity.
Who won the Preakness? I didn't.
Rombauer.
Okay.
Belmont is not part of the Triple Crown, did you say?
No, he's saying that the horse doesn't have a chance to win the Triple Crown.
Right.
I got you. I'm a little slow.
Jen, did you get that text message? Do you want to do that right after the show?
Sure.
Is that, or we can wait till tomorrow? It doesn't matter to me.
Today's just fine.
Okay. It is only Tuesday.
And so I was confused about those emails, Jen. I just forwarded it along just so you could be in the loop about what's being said. Didn't mean to spark anything.
No, I know. I just wanted to make sure it was understood that, one glitch and if maybe something else worked, then I didn't even address that. But just want to say, hey, sorry. I know it was an issue. First time in a year. Hope everybody gives me grace.
Yeah, I was confused about it. It sounded to me when Chris's email that something happened this morning at 8. I'll talk to you about it after.
Yeah. No, it was yesterday. All right, you guys are up.
Oh, been a fun show. What a great time of year. Maybe I think it has to do with the daybreak on our show specifically. As I look at what looks like a darkened room for Patrick, and he's got a intense stare. And started the show today with the Capitals loss and bitterness.
Well, it's weird. Like, I opened the window to get more light in, and now I'm just sitting in the darkness, in the shadow.
Cameras and lighting and the whole thing. Bill, is it like that for you? I mean, especially since you got the sunroom view of Lake Murray, and you get to see a little bit more of the sun than some of us. And I know it's like that in the studio when we actually have been in the studio in years past, sitting on Gervais Street with the wall of windows behind us. We get to see the sunlight come in. I think that just helps put me in a better mood.
Well, I mean, anytime you have some fun sporting events kind of taking place, I think for me, it helps. And playoffs, again, the NBA playoffs start tonight with these play-in games. You got the Eastern Conference, the hockey that Patrick was referencing to start the show. And again, as I sit here, I flipped over to the Golf Channel this morning instead of watching CNBC and watching the coverage of the PGA Championship here, the practice round. So I think when you add a little bit of sunlight, you add a little bit warmer temperature, and you add some fun sporting events coming up. A big, obviously, South Carolina baseball tonight, and then a big series this weekend. Yeah, it makes this time of year a little bit more fun.
CJ Weens gets to start tonight for the Gamecocks. Their typical midweek starter, Jack Mahoney, is out for the year with Tommy John. I think that probably contributed to some that and the moving, obviously, of Brett Carey to starting pitcher on Saturday contributed to an interesting, a new look for the Gamecock bullpen. I will be continued to see how they make the adjustment, interested to see how they make the adjustment and what kind of rotation, how they're going to approach the Tennessee series. And tonight, if Weens can give them a bunch of innings, certainly will be helpful to set them up again Thursday, Friday, Saturday, the final SEC series of the year, to give teams an extra day to prepare for the SEC tournament, which will also be interesting, like you pointed out yesterday, Bill, how teams will approach that with the NCAA tournament looming and how we've seen it through the years, different approaches. Wanted to get some quick power rankings. PGA Championship set tee off Thursday down at Kiowa Island, the Ocean Course. Power rankings according to PGAtour.com. Rory McIlroy, number 1. Bryson DeChambeau, 2. Victor Hovland, 3. Xander Schauffele, 4. Justin Thomas 5, and John Rahm 6. Notable for us, or other notables, Jordan Spieth at 11, and Dustin Johnson, the Irmo native, at 17. The biggest surprise on this list, they did it 1 through 20,
Yes, Jennifer.
wasn't Colin Morikawa, who won this thing last year. He's at 13, but the guy right behind him, Keegan Bradley. I feel like we haven't heard from him, but I didn't realize. So he was the defending champ the last time the PGA Championship was at Kiowa when Rory won in 2012. He finished tied for third that year. Will be interesting to see if
Okay, sounds great. I will
any
be
kind
there.
of factor, but
Thank you.
I would not have guessed that Keegan Bradley would have been on the top 20 list and your boy Patrick Reed would have been left off. But maybe that's because people actually like Keegan Bradley a little bit.
Yeah, poor Patrick Reed. He's so misunderstood.
Patrick Perrette, good luck getting over that
15.
Caps loss, sir. Everybody else, appreciate your contributions this morning. And yours too, Patrick.
The Wizards.
Road trips were fun. Thanks for listening to the early game.
This is Gamecock Athletics Director Ray Tanner, and you're listening to 107.5 The Game.
All right, live streamers. That's going to do it.
Busy morning.
What's that?
I said, nice, solid, busy morning.
Yeah, that was fun, man. Appreciate all the help with the stories from road trips on the live stream, especially. Looks like we might have made a connection with Jan and another baseball tailgater.
That's
Makes me
right.
feel good. Bringing people together. We'll see you guys tomorrow morning, bright and early again.
See ya.